it's taken me a long time to actually just do me.
With it.
You know, I used to go in, I used to speak, I did guest speaking for Westpac Bank, and I walked out, my hairdryer didn't work. I don't use a hairdryer at all. I do a straightener every now and then. And I walked out on stage and I was just, one of the best events I did was just be you and people will be okay, and actually coming out and saying, I'm introverted, I can't do this stuff, I need to rest and I need to do all these things and my body's not a priority right now, my kids are, and blah, 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 was one of the best things when you start to actually be you, people really respond. Yeah,
it's real and they can relate, because all the people sitting there are going, oh, I couldn't do that. And then you're like, oh yeah, I'm actually the same as you then. Oh.
I don't know how to lead in with your, this is who I am, but this is kind of my story, because if you're going to go back about childhood abuse and whatever, like that's a long way.
Yeah. Well, I think, you just say, welcome to I Think You Should Hear This, a podcast exploring people's journeys of adversity, growth and self-discovery. I have with me Michelle Vogrinec. And as a person who has faced plenty of adversity, who's been through quite a journey, I think you're an inspiring individual who does a lot of great things, and I think your journey and story should be heard.
Thank you.
And I think there's a lot of value to be taken away from the conversation we're about to have, because I think, you're an inspiration for me, you're an inspiration for a lot of people I know, and you have many pockets of things that you've done over the years and you'll continue to do that people can take things from. And so I'd love for people to hear about a little bit about yourself.
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, I want them to hear as much as you're willing to share, to be honest. But I think, no matter what stage of life you're in now and what industry you're in, what you're interested in, there's definitely something that they can relate to from what you've got.
Yeah. So I'm Michelle, obviously, and I'm currently a business and life strategist and various other things as well. So karate instructor, Huna massage therapist, and I'm setting up another business in mindfulness and bringing people back to self at the moment. History. So I grew up in a very different circumstance to my brother. So people sort of say, we grew up in the same household, but, I had sexual abuse and physical abuse, mental abuse going on in my home right up from the age of about 3, right up to 16. And from there, I was quite an unhealthy person, so started drinking at 13. I was smashed. I was so smashed. Used to go to ballet, did classical ballet from the age of 4. So very disciplined, very regimented, quite a harsh environment where it was, this is your body and it's not, you've got short feet, little feet and short arms and all this sort of jazz. They pick up your faults and all I wanted to do was dance. So I applied to the Victorian College of the Arts to do that as my secondary education and was told I was too fat to dance. And I was 13 and I was not fat. So you kind of started off with those sorts of things that kicked into my self-esteem, low self-esteem, and all the things that occurred with that side. And so I started drinking at like 13. Luckily, I didn't take drugs. I've never taken any drugs, illegal drugs in my life. My counsellor often says if you took drugs, you'd be dead. I
have a question on that, because so many people at that age, maybe not that early, start drinking and then the natural progression is drugs. What was it that you were like, no, that's where I'm setting the line, I'm not doing drugs?
I think going to dancing every week drunk and no one knew. My mum drove me there with no idea. And having access to alcohol through work, because I left school quite early, it was just kind of that I was constantly getting smashed. And then once the perpetrator of my abuse died, that sort of opened up a lot of stuff for me. My best friend, who I've known since I was about 8, we danced together. This is one person who's still my best friend to this very day. I walked in the dance studio. I didn't know anyone. I was about, 8 or 9. And I did a double pirouette because the teacher said, Michelle can do a double pirouette. And the other girls went, and Danielle said, can you show me how to do that? So we've been friends since that day. So, so I walked in there and her and I were really, really great mates. And she used to take me everywhere. She used to drive me everywhere. Her family drove me everywhere because my family did not. And I was kind of always at everybody else's house. I was that kid that kind of floated everywhere. And I got worse. So the more I drank, the worse I got. Then I started to go to night clubbing and get abusive. So I was very violent when I was drinking and very angry teenager. And I kind of acknowledged this just wasn't healthy. And Danielle had said to me at one point, I think we need to get you into counselling. And I'm sort of like, fuck this shit sort of thing. And very angry. And there's an incident where we were out one night and I was absolutely spastic and I was abusive, I was upset and I broke down. And that was the day that I realised I don't want to be like this. And her and I often comment that I made it to my 19th birthday was a real milestone because I never thought I would. So I didn't think I had suicide ideation and things like that. Never thought I was going to get to 19. And I remember my 19th birthday with her going, yes, we're there. And we sort of continued on through life as you do, dating and all those things. And my drink got spiked one night. And, the events that followed that were not pleasant. I woke up in someone's house. I woke up in someone's bed. And I didn't drink after that point. I thought something's not right. I'm angry. I'm all these things. And I just innately felt like if I go near drugs, I don't know what the outcome's going to be. So I just didn't go there. I knew that was a slope I didn't want to go down. I just didn't know that I'd survive that. So I've never sort of gone down that path and I won't. And I haven't drank alcohol since either. So sort of 24, 25, stopped drinking alcohol as well. So I don't notice it. Other people do. It's quite funny. You go out and people are like, do you want to drink? And I'm like, no, I'm okay. And they're like, why aren't you drinking? I'm like, I don't want to. But it's such a stigma. You need to drink. And so that's why I haven't progressed on. My counsellor said, you'd be dead if you had drugs.
Yeah.
It's kind of a bit of a roll to that point.
Yeah. I've got a couple things on that because the drinking one, I'm the same. I don't drink and I get asked, why don't you drink?
It's a big deal.
It's interesting though because for me, they're like, did something happen? And I'm like, no, it's just choice.
Health.
For you, something did happen. There's a lot of the time is a catalyst for it. And you mentioned abuse and drink spiking and stuff, and it is common, but it's not talked about. Were you the only one, or do you have friends that similar situation happened? Like whether it doesn't matter how it ended, but like there's drink spiking in general? Yeah,
I've had friends that have had incidences, be it via drink spiking or alcohol in general, people that have actually been, I don't know many women that haven't actually been in some situation where there's been, some abuse of some capacity. So there's a lot of sexual assault that goes on and it's very, very much not talked about. Yeah, and like we were talking about off camera, they're saying everyone knows a woman that's had a negative negative experience with men, whether it be sexual or physical. Yeah. Or, it's the same thing, but, harm. But no one knows a guy that's committed that crime. No. So I got to that point and I was classical ballet right through from 4 till about 23-ish and I had body issues. I just didn't eat well. I didn't like my body. I didn't like those sides of things. And then I went next door to the karate school because it was a karate school next door. And the sensei, they used to come out in his little pyjamas, go to his car. And he'd go, you should come in. And I'm like, yeah, cool. And I used to use this gym in there. My brother had me at a gym when I was like 13. So I'd been in gyms for a long time.
And you drinking in the gym?
No, outside of the gym, yes, but not in the gym. Not in the gym itself. I didn't take the container in. I was never that person. My mum did find me in the gutter once, though. That wasn't good. Well, that wasn't fun.
No.
But I went in there and then I started karate and I loved it. And what I loved about it was that the discipline is very, very similar to dancing. But in dancing, they're not nice to you. They're really mean to you. They're like the stigma of your body, your comparison to the next person, all those things are really horrible. Whereas at karate, they wanted to build you up and it still had the disciplinary component to it. And then there was a celebratory act as well. So it was very ritual based. And, when I got my first belt, they present this belt to you and they build you up. So I really loved that side of karate. So I continued karate and I stopped dancing. And by that stage, I remember my instructor saying, "You're never gonna be a fighter." And I'm like, right. So his way of building that up, and became a fighter. So I was a professional fighter for a while. Sponsored, travel around the world, and I loved karate. Karate for me is my zen zone. It's not my aggression zone. So it actually helped me manage anger. It helped me manage all that side of things. And then I started teaching, so I could help others. And it's really amazing. I really find as a environment, it's a family. Like your Kyokushin family is your family, like they're a chosen family. And it's full contact, bare shin, bare knuckle. It's tough stuff, but They will always support you. They will always pick you up. And I can ring any of them and they'll be there. And so during studying karate and I was working somewhere, I went out one night and I met my then husband on the dance floor. I was never having children. I was never having children, never getting married, because I was scared I'd fuck it all up. So
just based on your own experience.
Yeah, I was never doing it. And said to a friend, I met the father of my children. And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah. And we were living together 3 weeks later. And yeah, it's kind of that fairy tale marriage that happened. We were very close, and had our first child within 11 months of knowing each other. We were married within 6 months, and the first child was on the way. Was here 11 months later. So within 12 months, baby, start a business, fairy tale marriage and all those sorts of things. And over time, we started a business. So our child had eczema. We started Gaia Skin Naturals, so natural baby skincare. And I lost myself in the identity of Gaia. I lost myself in the identity of a wife and mother. I really didn't know who I was for a long period of time, and I was constantly looking out for everybody that I wasn't looking out for myself. I did karate through 2 babies, so it was really cool actually. A guy came through to do something in the house because the baby was coming, and he looked at me and he goes, I bet you can't, because there was a photo on the wall. I can't do that now. And I kicked him and my foot landed on his cheek and he was like, yeah, right, okay. It was pretty cool. That was fun. But and babies come. I did not know how to parent. So I was watching all these mums at mums group and schools and stuff, cupcakes and baking and stuff. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I'm just not that parent. And I really made a lot of mistakes early on with my parenting, and I didn't know how to parent. I had no idea because the only reference I had was what I had. So it was, anyway, so we did Gaia and business and everything going along, and number 2 baby came and he did not fit his job description, was to be cute and all. He was a Klingon, and he used to just he was on me all the time, so I didn't cope well with that. And then I had a miscarriage, and then baby number 3 came along, and Max, he's a little packaging boy, he's a little poster boy. And I'd stopped karate, and I was juggling so many different things that my brain shut down. Our business grew really fast, really quick, and Simon and I were sort of running this business together, and employing team and all these things were happening, and it was hectic. It was really hectic, and you get this idea in your brain of what success is. What is success for you? And for me, I just was doing. Simon's mum was this amazing woman who could lay bricks, or she could cook really well, and I was not that person. So I felt like I was failing as a wife and failing as a business owner, failing as a mum. I wasn't doing anything well. I stopped training. I got sick, so I ended up with adrenal fatigue, a myriad of other autoimmune disease type of things, and I really made it my mission to get healthy again. And at that stage, our business was still growing. So I was still doing expos and still doing all the things and struggling to get out of bed in the morning. So it wasn't fun. It took some time. And I actually I don't know where I met this person who was an osteopath, and he said, I'd like to help you get better. And so we talked about supplementation. We talked about real food, far infrared saunas, started doing dry needling, started changing my food around. So no sugar. I was very addicted to sugar for a very long time.
Can relate, yeah.
That's taken me 52 years, but now I'm no longer addicted to sugar. It's taken me multiple attempts, but so he helped me get better, and it took 8 years or something before I was back on track. And my home life had suffered because Simon had said to me at the time, I can't stand watching you sick.
Yeah.
So he was affected by that. Our whole family is affected by that. His mum got sick with cancer. My mum and I had a big fallout. She travelled with me with Gaia, and I had mentioned to her about being abused, and she'd kind of brushed it off. Said, are you sure? No, Mum, not fucking sure. All right, you know what I mean? It was just I tried to tell people at school about it as well, teachers. No one listened.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of...
What decade was this at the time? Because I know it's a lot back then. It wasn't talked about.
That's probably the 80s, in the 80s.
Because, like, it's always been a thing. Sadly, it's a lot more common than people think. But back then, it was never talked about. There's no social media. It's just, you know, and it's a systematic thing in societies, at like schools.
It actually is. And
not getting conspiratorial, but that stuff just gets shut down real quick.
It did, and I remember really sort of reaching, I was about 13 or 14, really reaching out to my coordinator, school coordinator, saying, this is happening. And they're like, are you sure? And I'm like, so, you know, for me, mental health-wise, being told one thing and something else is happening is a real issue for me, because I've always been told, like, what's happening is not what I've seen.
Yeah.
So, and it sets me off. It really does. When someone says that and I'm like, no, that happened, I get really feisty about it. But so, you know, I went through those processes and then Guy was just going off, and then his mum got sick. My mum was travelling with me. One day, my personal assistant was really important to me at that point because they were helping me run my life, and my mum, being the person that she was, I learnt a lot from my mum, and a lot of people don't know this about my mum, so this might surprise some people because they all thought my mum was amazing and wonderful, but they don't know this side of it. And, you know, she said to me, you have to choose between me and your assistant. I'm like, Mum, that person helps me run my life. And then she proceeded to tell me I was a terrible mother and I was doing all these things, and I just let loose 40 years of repressed bullshit came flying out my mouth at my mother, and she got on a plane and went home. And she was helping me at an expo, and I'm like, where the hell's she gone? So we had a big fallout. My brother wouldn't talk to me, which meant I couldn't see my nieces either.
Did you speak to your brother about the abuse and stuff as well?
No, that came out later.
Yeah.
It did come out later, actually, after Mum was sick. So my dad had rang me, and I'd said to my mum, with all love in the world, I can't speak to you. You can see my children, you can do all the things that you want to do, but I can't physically talk to you right now. And that was about 18 months worth of not speaking to her at all. And my dad rang and said, Mum's sick. And I happened to be at a friend's place, and I said, well, where are you? Because she moved house. I had no idea where she went. And I said, oh, I'm at Sharon's. And he said, well, we're around the corner. So I went to see my mum, which I hadn't seen for 18 months, and said, what do you need me to do? And that kind of got that side of things. So Simon's mum was sick as well, fighting cancer. My mum was sick. Simon's mum was his rock. So my mum was not. Very different upbringings. And both our mums died within 6 months of each other. And that changed, absolutely changed. It was almost like, you know, you were in direction, it just went completely sideways, and he relied on other people for support and I couldn't support, and I had my own shit that I was dealing with, and I went back to training. I started karate again and started going, I need to sort me out. I'm not coping in this. And over time, he was never the same, and our, you know, business grew and grew and grew, and I got healthier and healthier and back at the gym and doing all the things. And we had offers on the business, and was like, oh, should we do that? Should sell it? So this is like 10 years in and stuff like that. And by the time we ended up getting offers on the business to sell, and so we sold the business for a really decent sum that was we wouldn't have to worry too much in the future. And my whole life fell apart. Like, and I didn't expect that to happen. Like, I kind of thought, oh, okay, this is going to happen. And I remember talking to Andy, who I met at a Kerwin race seminar, actually. And he was like, I said, I'm just going to design shoes. And Andy's like, what about this business over here? I can't talk about that. And Andy's like, why? And so I sat there with Andy, and he literally pried me open like a can opener. And I realised that my marriage was in trouble. My life was about to change. And I was miserable as fuck. And, you know, all these people that are building businesses and trying to achieve a dream I'd achieved, and I was lonely as, and it was not happy. Like, it didn't make me happy. So it was a really harsh place to be in, going, well, I'm trying to fix my marriage here. I know now that my husband was actually off with someone else, so it's a whole other story.
Yeah.
One of my employees, actually, that anyway.
Another common story.
There's this, oh yeah, well, was it Coldplay now? So there's a lot of that went on. And so my house, I was in a house, I bought our dream house and all these things, and none of it made me happy. And I remember waking up one day going, what the fuck? I'm doing all this stuff and I'm not happy.
Yeah.
I was really miserable. I started painting again, started drawing again, and sort of removing myself from my family unit. And when Simon's mum and my mum died, it changed the course of his family life, my family life, and it was never the same. So, and an incident happened one night, and I said, that's it, I can't deal. And I jumped in the car and I went driving around the hills in pissing rain, and a rock fell and took out my tyre, and I careered into this sign, and it was a for sale sign on the house I'm living in now.
No way.
Yeah. And I looked
Beautiful
at it and I
house
was
too.
like, it's a beautiful space. It's my little sanctuary. But I looked at it and just thought, the universe is talking to me. And, you know, no matter how much I had my dream house, this house we had in Clematis was beautiful. I wasn't happy. Life was not good. So I spoke to the agent the next day. I'd never normally have it on. It's so funny.
Right.
I never have it on. It's always off. But you know, and I was in the house 45 days later.
Wow, that's quick.
I moved out. And I remember saying to Simon, I found a house, and he's like, yeah, you should have a rental property or whatever. And I'm like, who says that to their wife for a start? But and I just said, tell me not to go.
Yeah.
And he didn't say anything. He walked out the room. So I signed papers and I moved out.
Yeah.
I moved out of my family home, which was a really big deal. Mum's leaving. Like, I was leaving my kids, and
Do you feel like you're abandoning them?
I did. I actually did. I thought, shit, but my children were not getting the best quality me. No one was getting the best quality me. I wasn't getting the best quality me. So it was kind of another start for me to then go, well, what do I do now? So I moved out and started the journey of working on my mental health. And I was lucky that after the sale of Gaia, I had people calling me and saying, can I work with you? I wanted to build a business. So I just organically kind of went down that path. And yeah, and I was miserable. I was so damaged and thought, how do I get through this? How do I become better? How do I make myself better? How do I get through all the trauma? And I was really, really mentally unwell, and I was lonely. I was like, okay, I lost all that family side because my family was Simon's family, so that was all gone. My kids were going between houses and they were upset. COVID hit. I moved out in COVID, so COVID hit. Max, he was 13 at the time, he was struggling in COVID. My others, like everything was happening, and I was just like, shit. So I don't know how, I think it was Instagram, and I came across this down on the beach, meet people, and I was shit scared of meeting people. So I went down to the beach and did this conscious connection thing, which was foreign and eye-gazing, which then I think I cried the first time. I think I cried my eyes out going, shit. And then these people were so kind, and I met you down there and realised how much community mattered. And then, you know, now I'm working with one of my contractors with Positive Mentor. They picked me up when I was down as well and said, we won't let you fall. And so I've really been supported by groups and communities. And yeah, so now I'm good now. I'm working through some heavy shit at the moment.
Yeah.
but yeah, so meeting people that we met and starting to work through breath work, and it's massive. It's a massive difference. So to kind of, this is where I am now.
Yeah. There's a couple of things that I really want to expand on, and a couple, again, in different directions. But I think parts that I'm like, all right, learning more about this will help certain people, learning more about this will help certain people, learning more about this will spark an interesting conversation. So one is how quickly meeting your ex-husband to having a kid, 11 months, with someone that had the childhood that you had and feeling unsafe as a kid. You obviously felt safety with him, and that's why it was so easy for you to be around him and to go from meeting someone having a kid 11 months. You obviously saw something in him. What was it in him that made you feel so safe to be able to, one, move in within 3 weeks after, like you said, your home life wasn't great and you needed to be drunk all the time as a teenager, to going, this guy makes me feel so safe. I've known him for 3 weeks. I'm going to move in with him to 6 months pregnant, 11 months having a kid, sort of thing. What is that like? I just knew when I met him, and he doted over me.
and his family were all very welcoming, and I didn't have a welcoming family. So it was kind of thrown into this space, and we were very, very close for 15. You know, at first I felt like a failure that 23 years of marriage and it broke down. I felt like quite a failure. I'm pretty good at manifesting shit, and I'm pretty good at solving problems. I could not work that out. I couldn't make it better. And so I think 15 years worth of being in that space, but over that time, that safety had actually diminished. So what was a safe place became an unsafe place. So it built, and it wasn't an overnight thing either. It was something that over time, sort of broke down into different areas. But initially, I just knew. I'm very much an energy person, and I just knew. And I think the first try, we were pregnant. Like, it was like bang. So yeah, and I just knew. But yeah, I just found over time I lost who I was.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was going to say you said it wasn't an overnight thing. Things expanded, and that's where the safety was broken. Was that due to losing yourself and maybe not having strong enough boundaries, and you were doing too much not for yourself? It wasn't like instances, it was more...
There was a bit of both, and this is something I haven't really spoken a lot about, but there was a lot of expectation for me to be somebody, and I couldn't be that person. And when... You know, I've always been a very free-spirited person, so me saying I'm going to go to a girls' weekend was absolutely not okay. So there's those types of things that were occurring, and, you know, so going to karate was an issue because I was surrounded by men. So there's sort of all these little things that started to add up and started to sort of like, no, this is what, I need you to cook more. And I'm like, fuck, I'm doing all this stuff. How much more of me do you need? Yeah. So over time, and particularly when I was unwell, those little things kept adding up, and to a point where I remember having a function, and you know me well enough to know now, I used to have a function every year for my birthday with 100 people at my house. And I was the one running around doing all the work because that was what was expected of me. Yeah. Whereas when I hit a point one day, and I remember I had very severe anxiety and very severe breakdowns in that space, that I just sat there one day and said, I was in shaking, and I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. I physically could not do that anymore. Yeah. So there was those expectations, and you know, Simon's family were a beautiful family, but they were very much like, no, you need to do it this way. And I'm like, why do I need to do it that way? Like, so that caused argy-bargy. And so it just got worse and worse and worse, and built up over time. I just lost myself.
Not that I'm a psychologist or anything, but it sounds like he had a very good protected upbringing. And so he saw, I want to emulate what I saw with my parents. Yep. And he was probably very needy and wanted you in his image. And through your experience at the start was really good because you wanted a protective man that was going to be there for you. And then, you know, as time goes on, you're like, well, your needs weren't being met. Your expectations, or his expectations for you, exceeded what you could give him. And his needs weren't being met. So, it seems like he sought elsewhere for certain needs, and then you weren't being able to be true to yourself, boundaries weren't being respected, and then, so for people watching, understand what your wants and needs are in a partner. 100%. And it's okay to say that's not enough and separate before it gets to that point. Yeah.
You know, at the time when I tried working through it, but that's when there was at a point where I realised that it didn't matter how much I was working through it and how many changes I made, the outcome was the same. So that's when I realised this is not going to change, and my children are not getting the parents they deserve. And I remember, so I had a counsellor, Nick's my counsellor, and I remember hearing him on a podcast, and he himself is a victim of abuse and addict and all those sorts of things, and I remember relating to him quite a lot. And I rang him, and he goes, hey mate, let's have a chat. And I had a chat about something. Because you're really codependent. I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. And he's like, yes, you are. And I'm like, ha ha. I said, I'm going to come back to you when I'm ready to make the hike, because I knew that when I was going to start working through stuff, it was going to open up. And I thought I need to be ready to actually do that, because, you know, previously I had not been ready, and as I said, I didn't think I was going to make my 19th birthday. So I had to be ready to make that climb. And I've worked with him now for about 9 years, and he's watched over time as all this stuff unfolded. So it's really interesting then this expectation on you and stuff like that, and realising, and he'd said to me, the kids will grow up in turmoil are worse off than kids that grow up with separated parents. And I was like, no one, my children aren't getting me. I was in tears all the time. I was asleep all the time. I was tired. I was grumpy. I was fighting. There was all this fighting going on. And I'm like, this is not healthy. This is not healthy at all. So when the universe prevailed and I was out, you know, I remember my boys coming over and saying to me one day, this is the calm house. This house is really calm now. Thank you for moving out. And I was like, you know, people stay in marriages so long and in spaces thinking that they're doing it for the kids, but actually the kids are suffering. So you're better off in separated houses than you are in turmoil with the kids. So, yeah, so that was kind of my catalyst too, of going, my children are not getting quality parents. So, yeah, it was very unhealthy by that stage. The marriage was very unhealthy. So,
another part from that I want to ask about, because it was, for me, I was like, whoa, that was really quick. You said you had a miscarriage.
Yes.
How does going through that affect someone's psychology? How does that affect your mental health as well?
Oh, it's huge, because your body goes through all these changes, and not wanting to be a parent, and then being a parent, and then having something taken away from you. And so all the dreams you have in your mind, your body's changing, and all these things are gone, and suddenly gone. And I remember my sister-in-law at the time coming to me, and I remember sitting at the pool, and I was quiet and I was in tears. I spent a lot of time in tears. And her going, we're pregnant, her and my brother-in-law, and I just looked at her like, why would you tell me that? Like, so that took years to get through. And, you know, it took quite a long time. And I still think about it today. Max is 19. This child would have been 20. And I still think about a lot of that today. And being in the parenting industry, so we had baby skincare, being at expos around pregnant women and all of that. But I just shoved that shit way down where the sun don't shine, basically. So I just kept doing my job, and I kept rolling, and I kept doing, and I kept doing. And it wasn't until, when I started to work with Nick and started to open up on a few things that I started to deal with that stuff. Because otherwise you shove it down there, no one will know. We'll just keep going, keep walking, and you'll be fine. And you're not fine. It builds up and builds up, and my body was breaking down. My body started breaking down because of so much storage of shit in my body. So, yeah, it's releasing now because I'm working on it now.
Yeah. And that was the next thing I wanted to lead into was you said about health, and your son was born with eczema, and you wanted to get into skincare and natural health. And we've spoken about this previously about how you bring up your kids.
Yes.
And this is the topic that I said will spark some conversation, and that's what you put into your kids' bodies.
Yes.
And I am talking about vaccines. So I'm really interested because I've spoken with someone about it, Brent, and he recently had a kid, and he decided to not do it with his kids, and he justified his reasoning really well, and spoke about whooping cough and how it's null and void, basically, because of the time. What's your process? Why? I can see, obviously, was eczema the thing that got you started thinking about that, or was it
goes
previous
before
experience
that,
for you?
actually.
Yeah, I'd love to hear the whole story.
Josh, being my firstborn, we had his first immunisation, and he had a reaction to it. So his body ended up coming out in this absolute massive rash, and no one would help me. So I would go to the doctors, and they would go, here's a sachet of something, try this. And I'm like, what is that going to, why is he getting it in the first place? And I've always been that person. I was that kid in the school classroom that was like, I have a question. And they're like, no more questions. And I'm like, but I have a question. Like, I want to know. And I was very curious. So I started researching, and that's when I started to have a look at things. And I've actually been chiropractically treated since I was about 16, 17. So when I started on my journey to get my body chiropractic and osteo was where I started sort of working with that. And my boys had been chiropractically treated since birth. And I know my chiropractor was like, what's going on in their body? I have a Vega testing naturopath as well. She's treated me for 25 years now. And she had actually come up and said, he's reacting to his vaccine stress. And I'm like, yeah, right. And then at the time we were in business as sales agents and for pharmaceutical companies and whatever else. And decided to go into making skincare that didn't contain all the chemicals, and he reacted to dust, pollens, and it sort of set off a catalyst for him of all these other things. So when baby came around, and backtrack a bit, when I went to go second immunisation with the child, I had a flat tyre or something would happen and I couldn't go. So it was kind of like I'm that person that says, universe talking to me, and it just didn't happen. And I'm going to say I got actually quite a lot of abuse from people, from Simon's family were like, and this came up during our separation, of you didn't vaccinate our kids. And I'm like, how's this coming up 23 years later? So it was a real contentious issue because I'd said I don't want to do that with the children. My research has been I'm a researcher by nature. It was non-biased. It was based on the data that no one wants you to see. And so decided that wasn't the best thing to put in my children's body. Instead, I started working with their immune systems through food, treated homeopathically. So my kids were treated homeopathically their whole life. And we lived on Simon's mum and dad's organic farm so that we ate out of the garden. So everything else was really, really quite, very, very naturally done and organically done. So I just decided no, it wasn't going to happen. And all of them were really healthy. So at that stage, you just used to sign off on a conscientious objection form and you were fine to go to school. There was no questions. No one questioned you, sort of thing. I remember whooping cough going around the school and then ringing me saying, is this around, you need to take the kids out of school? And I'm like, yeah, okay. And then I'd start a protocol with them through homeopathics to build their immune system. And the class got sick and my boys didn't. So it was kind of these little incidences occurred over the course of time. And my boys just have never really been as sick as other kids. So they get colds, you're supposed to get colds, you're supposed to fight them off immunity-wise. So I feel like that's something that was quite important to me, but it did come up in, like, you didn't do this. And I'm like, I didn't need to. And they're saying that came up with the COVID vaccine, I didn't do that. One of my sons had to do that and he ended up with a few problems, but we've detoxed him from that via my naturopath and protocols and all the rest of it. And his girlfriend was anti-vax and all that sort of stuff. Yes. I was like, when he brought it home, I was like, yes.
Married her, yeah.
She's adorable. She was lovely. But so I decided it wasn't something that I wanted my kids to do. It didn't make sense to me. When you look at the data, it did not make sense to me. When I started to learn about immune systems and, that side of things, it didn't make sense. So none of them, no COVID. They had to go to work, they had to have that, but I think Jacob had 2. I had none. But I did have arguments with Simon about Max getting it or not getting it, and I didn't with Max. I really stood my ground and said, no, I'm not happy.
What was Max's thoughts on it?
It's interesting, Max is like, now I need it. And I'm like, no, you don't. So we actually have argy-bargy over this, and it's funny growing up in a house where my kids used crystals and whatever else, and all that sort of side of things. They were at school, talking about their crystals, and that he's actually now in a slightly different space. And I'm like, you go and explore what you need to explore. You're 19, you get to make decisions now.
So he thinks he needs it now?
Yeah, he's had a look at it saying, and vaccines in general. He's like, no, we should have been vaccinated. I'm like, no, you shouldn't have.
Yeah.
But you go and do your research and you come to your conclusions now. So he's doing that.
Yeah.
Little one's like, no.
Yeah.
And he eats very, very clean. Him and I live together, and we actually meal prep together and do all that together, which is really good. But it's funny because the oldest one and the youngest one, I sort of took sugar out of the house at one point as well. And they ended up going the other way and actually becoming more sugar addict because when they could make their own decisions on food, they went nuts. So it's really interesting how sometimes if we do things one way too much.
Well, I've noticed that recently with changing my relationship and like how I eat food, that I allow more in, or like I've did the carnivore stuff for a bit, and now that I'm having more carbs, I've less craving for it because it's not like a yo-yo, deny, binge. It's just like, all right. or like I just have fruit all the time during the day. And then I'm getting that instead of going like, all right, cool. And now my brain's like, you're getting it now, you need more.
More dopamine, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially, you know, like yourself being a very busy person, tired, and I'm looking for dopamine from wherever I can get it. So when you get the food, my brain goes, yeah,
That's
binge
taken me a
eating's
bit
really
to,
bad for me.
That's taken me a bit to work through the dopamine hit. You know, after my marriage broke down and everything else, and a friend said, we're going to put you on Tinder. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why do I want to go on Tinder? You know, that was a dopamine hit.
Oh.
Food was a dopamine hit.
Yeah.
Shopping for me, I had over 800 pairs of shoes.
800?
Yes. I know I've got rid of about 400 of them now. I'm slowly working through them and clearing them out. And I have a lot of clothing. So when I was really, really stressed, I would shop and I would buy shoes.
I never did it through stress. Just, I love my shoes. But it's another denial thing, like growing up with that much. When I started making my own money and had spare money, my parents didn't teach anything about saving it. So I was like, cool, let's make myself feel good. Oh, I can afford this. Look, I've earned this money. I'm treating myself because it's something I was denied. And now it's like, well, there's, definitely a bit of I don't want to say trauma around it, but there's a memory I have of shoes as a kid where I was like, you know, only ever have one pair and you wear them until there's holes out the bottom, literally. And then you're like, well, now it's like, look at what I've done. I can buy my own stuff as much as I want. Yeah.
My shoes never wore out because I had so many.
Yeah, now it's, my mum will go, are they new? I'm like, no, I've had these for 3 years. They don't get worn out because I have plenty. Yeah.
Well, that dopamine cycle was really strong in me, and the shopping, I used to shop when I was stressed. So being really, really stressed for a long period of time, my body just shut down. And I used to shop to make myself feel better. And then later I'd feel like I could feel this rush of shopping. I have so many clothes. I can't. People know how many clothes I have and shoes I have, and they're just like, holy shit. And I'm like, I know. And I'm working my way through them now. It's interesting working my way through them now. And each time I go through a bag and I go through a box, I feel like I release a part of me that built up because of it. But that dopamine hit is really real. And the sugar for me was so addictive. It took years and years, and when the marriage broke down, and that when I realised, holy shit, my life is about to change again, I started eating sugar again. So I did the whole not quit sugar sort of thing when it first came out. And then the dopamine started, and then the Tinder started. It was like, oh my God. So, yeah, and you know, I've met some really lovely people on there, but that was my scrolling. That was my, you know, oh yeah.
Yeah, because you get validation instantly. Yeah.
And you got
especially as a woman, you just have to swipe every time you get a match. Yeah.
And so, so I got all these. And it's interesting. And so a friend of mine and I were on the dating apps at the same time. And because I don't wear makeup and I really don't do a lot to myself, never have actually with the makeup side of things. And I feel like I'm wearing a mask when I do that. And on my Tinder photos were quite natural photos. So I used to get a lot of swipes. I thought, who's going to like me? I'm only going to get one swipe. And I think within an hour of being on Tinder, there was like 800. And I was like, holy fuck, what do I do with this? And so it was quite funny. But when you look at the other people that are on Tinder, women particularly, that are filtered, all of these things that went on about their photos, and you see them in person and you're like, what happened there? Sort of thing. So as part of the food, I got on top of my food. When I started Kahuna, actually, Kahuna is more than just a massage.
Yeah, do you want to explain what that is for people?
Kahuna's amazing. I love Kahuna. I've had Kahuna massages for about 10 years. Wasn't allowed to have Kahuna massages because you're naked. You've got a sarong over your bits, can't see a thing. But it's like, why do you need a naked massage? And Kahuna's did something amazing for me. And I always used to drop into a zone and really just to open things up for me. And I always wanted to learn it because I've always used my hands. I was always that person massaging someone's shoulders or doing whatever, and I'm a touch person. So I went on a Kahuna retreat to learn how to Kahuna.
Yeah, so it's a ancient Hawaiian massage.
Yeah. So it's ancient temple Hawaiian massage. Yeah. You are naked. But there's a sarong, you cannot see anything, I assure you. But it's long strokes. It goes from your ankle up to your shoulder. It goes under the body, and under the body is amazing. But it's all flowing. It's done in aloha. So it's done via love. It's done from the heart, and it's a very giving thing. It does all your organs, your lymphatic system as well, but done in a relaxing way. It's very energy driven as well. And it's so amazing. So I learned to do the Kahuna side of things and worked through that. And at that retreat was where I worked through my food. And I had surrounded by facilitators that were actually there with me to work through this. And I came home from that and I've actually cracked my food stuff. And I've eaten really well ever since. And just prior to going to the Kahuna, I wanted to get off the dating apps as well. I was like, I've had enough of this. Met a person and said, hey, I'm actually going to hop offline. Are you happy to take it offline? He's like, yep. Still working things out, still speaking to him today. Hopeful that all works out, but you know, it's life, it's a path that you walk. And yeah, so once got off the dating apps, got my food sorted out, stopped shopping, stopped doing all of those things and actually focusing on me and coming back to me, which has been monumental. And, you know, groups like our community that we have, going down to the beach, doing what we did, they're the things that are important. And I actually I went on a retreat with Marcus Pierce. He has a book called Your Exceptional Life, and you break your life down into 8 different segments and you actually give it a score. And that perfectionist that I am is like, oh, I haven't got a 10, I need to make it a 10. And he's like, no, you can go from 5 to 6. You can go from 6 to 7. So this retreat really changed things for me, and all these dopamine things and all these pockets, I was like, I just need to return to who I am and find out who I am. Because when I sold Gaia, I was known as the Gaia lady. Like, I'd go places and people were like, oh my God, you're the Gaia lady. I'm like, oh. And so my identity was as Simon's wife, the Gaia lady, Max's mum, Josh's mum, whatever. I really decided to tap back into who I was. And now I no longer seek dopamine. It's actually been a massive deal. My whole life I've sought dopamine. So, and it's on top of it now because I'm actually doing the work.
Yeah.
It's not hard. It's not fun. It's not fun.
Yeah.
but it's good.
What's doing the work for you?
Oh God, where do you start with that? Doing the work was actually listening to your body and starting to release what's in your body and learning about somatic movement and learning about connecting with people. I think the first eye gazing and conscious connected I did was in tears, because you sat there while someone gave you undivided attention for 2 minutes, which might not sound like much, but it was the first, you know, you're sort of sitting there while people are listening to you. It was connection. And one of the things that comes up with Marcus's book is he talks about the blue zones and he talks about longevity and the quality of longevity. Australians have shit quality, but they live forever. And so one of the highest, the number one reason people live is community. So for me, who hadn't had a lot of community, I'm now sort of going, what do I need to do for my mind? What do I need to do for my body? And what do I need to do to stay connected to humans in that capacity? And what do I need to do to work through the uncomfortable feelings? That one's not fun. You know, at the moment I'm working through quite a lot of stuff, which has actually been triggered from this relationship that I'm in currently. And he hasn't triggered me. It's just a very safe place to be, but it's brought up all this stuff. And instead of just brushing it aside and going, no, I've actually sat with it. So I have a counsellor as well. I've been in talk therapy forever. Surrounded by people that actually share the same values that I have, and that want to improve, that don't judge you. They're happy to sit and listen and hold space. My food now is my medicine. So I look at it and go, I'm nourishing my body, you know, and I'm releasing so much trauma that's stored in my body over the years. So food for me is really big. It's connected to my mind. Whenever I eat shit, I feel shit. Like there's a whole series that goes with that you don't realise. And
sleep shit.
I sleep shit when I eat shit. And you only know what you know till you know. And then when you start unpacking stuff and you see the difference it makes to you, and weekly breath work and doing all of that, far infrared saunas, food, it's simple stuff. It's going back to the basics of what previously we've had. And we're such a society of instant gratification and just, here, take a shortcut, here, do this, here, grab this, instead of going, well, actually, no, let me go back to the origins of what it is that, you know, eat clean, just eat real food and do this and cut out this. And, yeah, the connection, I think, is massive. I think when you connect in with people around you and you're happy, they say where you're happy where you live as well is a factor in living long. Having my dad with dementia as well, caring for my dad with dementia, who told me I was fat yesterday. And I'm kind glad because I've worked on myself enough to be okay with that. And one of the most liberating things I think I ever did, because I didn't like my body, was saying I'm going to go on the beach in a bikini at when we used to go and hang out at the beach. That's probably one of the most freeing things I ever did for my body and my mind about how I felt about myself, because I didn't like myself for a very long time. So it's a combination of a lot of things, not just one thing. And then if you drop one off, you start to notice something else goes off over here. So discipline, habits, your habits are... I think everyone should be born with a copy of Atomic Habits by James Clear. But
Yeah, absolutely.
because habit stacking, right? People go, New Year's resolution, I'm going to go to the gym, go there 4 nights a week, and then suddenly they're done within a month. Make it fit into your lifestyle. Start one thing at a time, work your way up. I've talked therapy, I have all the therapies known to man to help, but I think people's a really important one.
Yeah, I think, you could look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But I think, connection is the most important one for me as well, because it's no matter how good or bad life's going, if I don't have connection, it's shit.
Then you go inwards and then you seek.
Yeah, because when I'm going through a period of success, like winning a grand final in March, it was a real hollow feeling because I was in another state. I didn't have my closest friends to go and share it with. And I was like, that's like the thing that I've been working towards my whole footballing life, is winning a flag and celebrating with mates. And the guys, I played with great guys and, mates, but I didn't work for years towards that goal, or I didn't, we're not having conversations like we have, and they're like, hey, you haven't seen all the pain that I've gone through to get here. So it was pretty empty because I didn't have that deep connection. And then when you're going through loss and you don't have someone to share it with, it's even harder because you don't have someone to build you back up. So either way, no connection is really hard. Yeah.
It is hard, and I remember when I got the check for selling Gaia, and it was a really anticlimactic moment. I was actually like, God, I've worked 17 years to get to here, and I just sat there going, it means nothing without the people, or if I can't utilise it to give back, or if I can't, it meant nothing. And it was a really lonely moment because you're not surrounded by the people that actually share the same values or share the same insights that you do and want to grow and want to learn from that. As I said, Danielle saying to me when I was 8, show me how to do that. And everyone else was bitching in the corner, whereas we've maintained that friendship for our entire life and they're the people I want to be around. I want to be around the people that I go, I can't do that, show me how, or help me through this, or I've got this skill, I can give you this. There's this non-judgment attached to it. No one's sitting there carrying on about it. They're actually going, well, what can I do? I can hold space for you, or it's just different. And I think our little group is such a close little group. I know I can speak to anyone in it and no one's going to judge me, and they'll be there. They'll hold space.
Yeah, that's the whole point of this podcast is people being able to learn from other people's experience, because everyone's been through some stuff. They've got something that they want to learn, or they feel like they're the only one going through it, and then hearing your story, any of the previous people's stories, oh, all right. And you don't have the fear of being judged because you're just watching, hearing, taking it and going, all right, I resonate with that. I'll take that part. Yeah. Other parts you don't, take it or leave it.
And it's and I think I'm the oldest person in our little group, but I came down there going, God, these are all young people. And I thought I had my shit figured out by the time I was 45 to 50, and realising my life is just falling apart. I don't have it figured out. And I've learnt through you guys about how to deal with my kids as well. So it's actually, so as much as, I get a lot of people asking me, how do you do this? Because I'm the old wise one. But I also learn from you guys. And I sit back going, yeah, right, I didn't think about that. So it's taught me a lot. And I think when you take age out of the equation and you take all the stereotypical things out of the equation and you listen to people and you really take in the humanness of what's happening, and you're open to, well, how can I do that better, or what does that mean for me? It's not something you can teach either. I think it's something that's innate with you. You can't, people often say, oh, I want my friend to do this, and they won't. It's like you can't want it more for them than they do. You've got to, it's an innate thing. But yeah, I learn a lot too. I learn a lot about, I didn't think about that, or from you guys and going, I need an opinion. I think I rang you one day and going, this is happening.
Yeah,
From a boy's perspective, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of, you need to be around those people that share the same values, and you don't go to a barbecue and ask someone for advice when they're not in the ring. They're not doing what you're doing. If you want to go somewhere and you want to get to that point, you don't ask someone that's not doing it.
Yeah.
So you kind of surround yourself with people that are, so you can tap into that. Learn from the ones that do it, and learn from the people that share your values. So values are hugely important.
Yeah, you don't ask a vegan how to cook a steak.
No, but this is the thing, right? So when I was getting off the dating apps and Cam and I started talking, we talked values, life purpose, all of this stuff before we even met, because it was important to both of us and we share that value. So, and being able to go, well, we share values, we share this, we share that before meeting, whereas usually it's the other way around. Everyone kind of dates and then goes, well, you're not for me because you don't, you do this or you do that. It's been quite different. It's actually opened my mind up to how things can be done differently, and realising too how different I now know that some of my values were. But I didn't know that at the time because I was kind of into this family, and so values is massive.
What's changed between your values as a 19-year-old to now?
At 19, I was just trying to survive. But I've always been that person that wants to improve who I am. So those haven't changed. And I've got all my diaries and journals from being 19 to 25, where I was, training up to fight in the world tournament. So I have them and I've read through them, and nothing's changed in the sense of me wanting to improve and be better. So I was always someone that wanted to improve and be better. What's changed is how relationships are done, human relating. How you relate to humans is very different. My values around that is really different now. Age is just a number in my book, but how you connect with other humans is actually very, very different than it was as a 19-year-old.
What's been the biggest change for you?
I think back then, you're not judgmental. You're very comparative to other people, and like, well, I want to do that, or why can't I do that? And you kind of lumped at school with the people, and you to make the best of who you have, rather than choosing people for the values that you share. So you might be in a group of friends and there's the bitching that goes along. I have no tolerance for that, never really have had, but whereas now I'm very selective about who I'm actually spending time with, and family or not family, or close friend or not close friend, I will spend time with friends that share the same values now. Whereas back then you kind of just put up with it, or you got immersed in it, like in work culture, or you have one bad egg in work culture and the whole lot. So back then, and my body, how I feel about my body now versus how I felt about my body at 19 is hugely different. And someone asked me one day, what would you go back and tell your younger self? Love your damn body. Treat it with respect. Treat it like a temple. Because I'm finding out now as I'm aging that it's not holding up, or things are happening, and I wish I could go back now and actually look after. And they say self-love and love yourself and do all those things. And when I was 19, if you loved yourself, you were up yourself, Whereas that self-love is really important. So that was a very different value to now embracing my body for all that she is, rather than hating my body for all that she's not.
Yeah.
I have what I have to work with, so I'll work with that.
So for a 19-year-old girl listening now that's hearing to love herself more and look after her body and respect her body more, what would that 19-year-old girl be doing to love and respect her body?
Feed it well. So food for me, if I would go back to change things, food. Feed your body good food. Don't abuse your body. So I would clean diet, like really stop with the sugar and those types of things. And when I started changing how I thought about food, one of the things I started telling myself was that food is self-harm. Bad food, self-harm. So I was trying to put those two together, and people don't often correlate it. But look after your body, treat it well. Movement is so important, to move every day, and to move. Energy that doesn't flow gets stuck. So move your body every day. Don't hide it behind all the makeup. And if you want to wear makeup, go for your life, but don't hide behind those things. Just this is what you're born with. Kind of work with it rather than trying to fight it all the time. It's interesting in a time where Botox, I often look around and think, what is a 52-year-old woman supposed to look like?
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard to compare yourself to others. And I try not to do that, but it's hard in an environment where you've got 20-year-olds that are Botoxed.
It's crazy.
And I'm like, how does that work? How do they even...
Yeah, what do you need it for?
What do you need it for?
And you wouldn't need the Botox if you put better stuff in your body.
Like,
have some collagen, some gelatin, you'll have some good skin.
Go back to that point, which was, if I could go back, that's what I would do. And it's interesting dating, because I was really paranoid. I'm quite a curvy person. I was really paranoid. Who's going to like my body? I was absolutely astounded that there was a lot of people that liked my body, but women actually are the ones that do this to themselves, not the men. So, and yes, you've got some circles where men are very judgmental on a woman's body, or there's arm candy, totally different to, visually what you want to look at and that side of things versus the person that you're with. And I learnt very quickly that women and myself were the ones that were putting ourselves down. We are doing ourselves a disservice. We are the ones that are causing a lot of that disharmony with our bodies, not necessarily the men. So it was interesting. I didn't know that. I actually thought, men caused this, but it wasn't. It's actually women causing women to feel like shit.
Yeah, well, I can only speak from my experience, but I would ask you, how many times have you heard a man shame a woman's body versus a woman? I'm sure it's a lot more a woman.
Yeah, you get comments and things, but it's not. It's a surface level. When you get down to this, a guy's just happy to have a woman with him.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, they're not worried about all the things that we're worried about. We're the ones that do it to ourselves. So be kind to yourself. Be really kind to yourself, and don't be too hard on what happens. But look after yourself as well. If I could go back, when I had adrenal fatigue, I put on 35 kilos with my first pregnancy. So I went from being a peak athlete, I was at world tournament level, to pregnant and 35 kilos later. It was massive. I was like, holy crap, what is happening to my body? That was really hard to then get off, and then that yo-yo starts of weight going up, weight going down, and all those sorts of things. And be within a couple of range of where your kilos are, and no, I don't go by kilos anymore, I go by clothing, but know where you're at and allow yourself a little bit of play, but don't go and put on a gazillion kilos if it's not weight related. So when there's this whole body shaming, fat shaming, and all the things that go on, it's like it's not fat shaming someone if they're eating well and they're actually looking after their health. So, and this might not go down so well saying that, but it is. If I could go back and go, look after your health and don't put on monumental amounts of weight, because it changes so much within your body. And when you're older, your skin's not the same. And if you want to lose the weight, it's harder and harder as you're over 40. I think as your collagen starts, everything changes. And particularly when women hit menopause sort of thing, it changes again. So look after that, because if you can maintain that throughout your life, I feel like you're honouring your body as well, versus just going, oh, just eat that, I don't really care. You're honouring yourself, you're honouring your body, and you're taking that temple through your whole life with you.
And it's I think as a guy, it's attractive in a woman who knows how to look after herself. And that's from the perspective of, well, if I'm going to have children with this woman, I would want to know that she knows how to, one, look after herself if she is going to be a mother of my child. Yeah. Because if she can't look after herself, how's she going to look after her kids as well? And not that she has to do it solo.
No, but
it's a team thing. Yeah. If you can't show up for yourself, how are you supposed to have the energy to show up for other people?
And what I learned from the dating world was that, and just talking to other people, is that a confident woman is actually more important than being stick thin, and that sort of other end of the spectrum as well.
Because what drives a woman to be stick thin as well? It's mental health. It's her own insecurities that go, I'm not good enough unless I look like this, and then you go, well, I don't want to date someone who's mentally unstable either.
No, and then there was a study done on men look between, I think it's between sort of breast region and hips, and those with voluptuous bodies they did this study on it, more appealing to the men because they saw that these women cared about their bodies and they were more confident, and they looked at them and said, they're going to actually raise my children better. Like it was, I can't remember the whole thing. It was really fascinating.
I think it's innate because that's where they carry the child.
Yeah.
You go, all right. And that is just built into the brain. That's like, well, if they're stick thin, can't really have a healthy child because they're not going to be able to get enough nutrients into the kid.
There's a whole thing around it. There is a whole thing, like, it's not conscious. It's an unconscious thing. They did these studies. So it was really interesting to sort of hear that. But, yeah, it's interesting. And you look at people, one of my friends was skinny, really thin, just because that's her metabolism was that way. She was equally as unhappy with her body as I was when I put on weight.
Yeah, and you were probably comparing each other as well. Going,
yeah, and she hated people commenting on her body. She was sort of like, and it's interesting, as I did an Instagram post yesterday saying my dad called me fat. Like, lucky I'm actually okay with myself. You know, I had messages from people. One person said, I think you're cuddly. And I'm like, there wasn't an invitation for you to actually comment on my body. Yeah. So this whole world of feeling like people have the right to tell people what they think or feel about somebody else's body shocked me quite a bit. I was really quite like, really? Did you just say that?
Some people, just don't understand social cues. And it's
coming from people who aren't healthy.
Yeah. Well, it's probably, they're going, what would make me feel better if I said this?
I'm kind of like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting, but that care for your body in a way that's nurture your body, and I can't describe it really, but really, really nurture your body and take that time, I think is the one thing that I'd go back and change in a heartbeat at that age. Yeah. And if you're amongst sports or dancing and things that are not great for your mental health, then find ways to work through that.
Yeah, finding breathwork and community outside of footy has been the best thing for my mental health, but also my performance. I've been the best player I've been since I started having groups outside of footy because I quit drinking because I have a community of people to hang out with that isn't drinking and doing that because after footy it's get on the beers. But now I don't need to do that because I've got my people and I still love my mates in footy. But now I just play footy with them and then they can do what they want and I can be around them sober because I'm comfortable enough because I know if I feel like I don't fit in there, I've got my people. Yeah. So having an existence outside of that, not being fully identified as the footy guy, the Gaia person. Yes. All right, I know who I am and I don't need to be there. And now I play better because I don't have an expectation of who I should be. I'm doing better things for my body. You learn more by being around other people that also care about their bodies. You do. And then you also create a space where people feel comfortable asking you about your habits because they see the changes that you've made in your life. So like I was mentioning, I'm having conversations with heaps of different people at footy, one-on-one. They go, I see what you're doing. What do you do? Like, I want to learn from you. And that's been really great as well. You don't know who you influence. And this is one thing that I realised more recently when I took a break from social media. I was just processing a lot of stuff and I did some introspection and sort of went right into a bubble. And I had people messaging me all the time going, we haven't seen you online. And someone else would say, you inspired me to do this. And you don't know who you inspire by putting out what you put out in the way that you put it out. So kind of that keeps me going with, I'm just going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep showing up in the bad times. And not just have that picture perfect Instagram feed. And it's always when I put a vulnerable post up that I get massive messages and everything else going, hope you're okay and we really love and inspired by you. Like, it's really interesting when you don't know who you inspire by doing what you're doing and going about it the way you're going about it and really committing to that. A lot of people start, like New Year's resolutions, they start and they fail. Yeah. Whereas if you commit to it for the long term, this is about my health of my whole body. And I want to live a healthy life. I don't want to live till I'm 100 on medication, on all the things. And I went to a doctor recently. I can't remember why I had to go to the doctor and go there very often. And they said,
Have you had your flu vax? This is like this whole screening process before I even got to the doctor. No. Have you done your breast screen? No. Have you done your bowel screening? No. Have you done this? No. Are you on medication? No. You're not on any medication. No. And they were surprised that I wasn't on any medication. And it just this whole process. And I'm just like, for God's sake, I just want to come. I think it was to do, because I think it was a referral for something, but I'm like, I don't need these questions. Like, I just want this. Like, why? They do that with every person that walks in the door.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And then after they learn that, they try and suggest other things for you to go on.
I know. and it's sort of like, I'm okay, thanks. I just need this from you. I don't need you to. So it was really interesting doing that and going, you know, people are on medication. They're on these things. I don't want to be that way. I want to live as wholly as possible and holistically. And then you start to research into your body actually can regenerate and your body can, you know, heal itself. But it's not an overnight, make it happen.
If a broken bone can heal itself, I don't think you need medication to get over a cold or a flu, you know?
And there is some people with immune deficiencies.
Yeah,
so I think it's very different. But generally speaking, you know, if we ate better, you look at eating healthy is considered a diet. And eating...
Oh, you're on a whole food diet. You mean eating?
Well, I'm just eating. Do you know what I mean? It's reversed. If you're not eating this food over here, you're on a diet. Yeah. It's like, no, I'm just not eating that. That's not
It's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. Yeah,
and just noticing inflammation going down, all of the things. Like there's a list that goes on about, you know, what happens when you start to actually do that and the time it takes for your body to actually adjust. People are too quick to want results. It takes time and commitment. You know, like
it's not easy.
Playing an instrument or playing footy, you've got to practice. You've got to be committed.
10,000 hours,
10,000 hours to mastery. So, you know, you've got to be disciplined. Discipline over anything. Motivation doesn't work. Discipline's what? But you've got to find what motivates you. For me, it's my health of my body, my kids getting the better quality me, being a better partner, being a better everything at the moment is my motivation to do better.
That's probably something I'm struggling with at the moment is having a why. I do all of those things, but there's no North Star as to why I'm doing it. I just like it, or I'm passionate about it, but I don't know why.
I don't have to know why now.
Yeah.
I used to have to know why, but now I'm like, no, I feel like this is where I want to be right now, so I'm going to follow that path for whatever reason, and then if it changes, then I'll roll with that.
That's kind of where I'm trying to be at a point of surrender. But I'm burnt out and I'm doing the relentless and repetitive grind. Yeah. And because I don't have it'll be worth it because I'm finding it really tiresome.
You get to that point, I'm telling you, I got to the top of the mountain and was like, what now? Yeah. Like, and I achieved more recently, I did my third Dan. And I fought in Japan at the age of 51. I was the oldest competitor. 20 years after my previous world tournament. 20 or 30, can't remember now. But again, I felt like I'd achieved these major goals and I'm like, what now? And that's why now I'm focusing on what brings me joy, what lights me up, what keeps me healthy, and that will be my process going forward rather than aiming for this. And you're going to have goals, right? So for me, I'm goal driven. So doing my next belt or doing my next whatever is important to me. But my goal was to cut my eating. Like to get through that whole dopamine hit. So that's been my goal. So it doesn't have to be a tangible thing that you see, but, you know, rewarding myself along the way is also something I believe in. Like you got to say, hey, you did a good job. Yeah. But some people aim, if they don't know why, they don't know why. Like I think the journey sometimes is more important than destination.
100%. Because it's the things I take away from the Northern Territory experience were what training got me to the fitness levels that I did, what made me feel good, the relationships I made along the way, the conversations I had, not that one grand final that didn't make me feel, that I didn't have the feeling that I expected. But that whole experience was so amazing that I want to go back, even though I know how I felt after having the ultimate success. I want to go back for everything that led to that moment. For that moment. Yeah.
And I know leading up to my Japan tournament, I had 2 ribs broken in January and we were fighting in April. And so I had worked up sort of when I knew I was going to Japan the previous year. I'd really worked hard on training. I was training really hard, and then these ribs happened. I don't know if you've ever had broken ribs. You can't move. You can't do anything. You can't breathe. Can't move. Like it literally halted my training. I put on weight. I was really out of my fitness. Just dropped off because you can't breathe. Like you can't breathe. Your ribs are really integral to your breathing. So, and I'm like, and someone had said, "Oh, you can't go to Japan." I'm like, bugger that. I'm still going. It's not ideal and I'm not in the space that I would like to be in, but I'm still going to go. And did I do as well as I would like? No. My blood pressure dropped. I had blood noses all the time. Like it was a real clusterfuck, like going. But I was so proud that I'd actually got on the mat and I did what I needed to do, regardless of whether or not I was in the perfect state to do it. So, you know, we find with people that are going, oh, I can't do that because I'm not where I need to be, do it anyway. Because the reward was the fact that I went and I experienced that with my team. I teach, so my students know they're watching me. She's actually doing that. She's actually gone, wasn't in the best of state, but she still didn't. Look how she came out. Like, do you know what I mean? It kind of has a cascading effect as well. And I'd do it again. Like, I'm glad I didn't stop.
Yeah.
That I went and I did it and I achieved another goal. So, you know, that perfection, seeking perfection and the journey to get there was what I enjoyed, not necessarily the outcome. I didn't care that I didn't win. I was happy just going. So, you know, look at the things that are driving you. The journey's driving me now.
Yeah.
Being healthy, happy and, people and, certainly interesting.
Before we go into another section of things that you do, you've spoken about the universe a few times and your kids growing up with crystals and stuff around the house. And from my experience of the conversations I've had with people during very vulnerable conscious connection conversations, there's a direct correlation between trauma and spirituality that I've come to notice. Where did your spiritual journey start or experience relationship with spirituality?
I think I was innately as a child because I didn't have safety. I kind of sort of watched. You're on alert all the time. So you read a room, you know who's where, what's how, and all those sorts of things go on. So I feel like you have a very innate sense, and that sense is your gut feeling is very strong. So I've always had that sense of, that innate sense of, you know, oh, something's not right here. Yeah. And as I've got older, learning to trust that. And I think with the marriage breakdown, and I had these intuitions that this was happening and was told it wasn't happening. And then when after everything was said and done and then this had come out that someone was in this relationship with this person, which I'm actually totally fine with, by the way, it was relieving. I was like, oh, because I see something and I was told I didn't see it when I was younger. So me looking at things and going, I can see that now, and now I know my intuition is really, really strong. Whereas other people, you know, are telling you can't see something, and now I trust that gut. I trust that because I've now proven and I've seen how it's actually served me, and it was actually correct. But we just didn't believe it. So I'm really tapped into my intuition at the moment, and I can pick up on a lot of things. But I've always kind of, I think you just as my counsellor calls us trauma babies. As a trauma baby, you're very acutely aware around you, so your senses are quite there. And I think if you dabble into that a bit more, I've always been a bit that way. When I moved out of home at 17, and I was in Brunswick for a while there, so I was kind of around the funky crowd. Oh, yeah. For a long time, and I really drew to it because it made sense to me. Like, people were less judgmental, more open, and the stuff people were saying made sense to me. So I started playing with crystals and stuff like that, and at a very, very younger age, and I just carried it through. But more so now, I've tapped back into it again more when I found I needed something to get me through what I was going through. Then that was sort of dropping back into that. And I don't know. I trust my gut now because it's proven. When it came out that Simon was in a relationship with this person, I was fucking relieved
did you feel like validated that your thoughts were true?
Yes. I was actually like, thank fuck, because I've spent 10 years saying, be careful with this relationship, be careful with this relationship. My team had been saying something's going on there, and I was being told it was me, right? And then when that happened, I was like, oh, thank God I'm not crazy, because you actually think to yourself, you start to question, am I going nuts? What's going on here? And you're not going mental. It's manipulation in that regard, but that's when you realise my gut's actually really strong, and now I follow my gut. And it's when you don't follow your gut and you start to do other things is where your mistakes happen, and they say the universe will bring you what you need.
Whether you like it or not.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
So now I'm trusting that, and I'm trusting that more, and the more I trust it, the more it's actually happening, the more I'm validated on it, the more it's coming true. Like, so something that, as a younger person, acutely aware of because I had to be. But it's definitely interesting.
We spoke about it last weekend, actually. Yeah, I find it super interesting that that's where the mind goes. It teaches you, unfortunately, you learn very quickly how to be aware, have intuition. My theory is that's why people are so good at being visual and seeing things that aren't there, like really good at visualization because it's so good at disassociating. I really, and like from reading Bessel van der Kolk,
Body Keeps Score.
The Body Keeps Score, and he's talking about that sort of stuff, and you're like, oh, like I can see this, and that's why I feel like schizophrenia is obviously a mental health disorder, and you can be born with it, but I think that ADHD and things can be learned.
Yes.
Learned habits as your body's way of coping, because it's like, well, this life is no good, let's create another one.
There's a rule when if you look at, I can't think who's done the study now on that very thing, that ADHD can be a trauma response. Yeah. It's not necessarily an imbalance in your brain. It's a trauma response. So there's two sides to that, and they're doing studies now on it, and they haven't actually studied a lot of women in ADHD and those types of things and autism. So trust me, I was with two women this morning, and their ability to somehow get distracted from the topic of conversation, very easy. Instant gratification. Let me just think of something else. It just stores in the body. And that's the same as anxious attachment style. You're not born with an anxious attachment style. It's a learnt behaviour. That's what I'm working through now. Yeah. I am working through that now. And it's like, well, what was the learned behaviour? Where did it come from? And that's anxious attachment. I would love to see the correlation between people with ADHD or ADD and anxious attachment. And it's like, well, when you're born in an unsafe, loving environment, of course that's going to be then carried on through to adulthood. So, people doing studies on that. Yes. Psychologists, please give me your thoughts. Yeah, I think I've started looking into that. So Cam's quite spicy brained. So, and learning as well, what is it actually? Where does this? How can we? And opening up those channels of different ways of thinking. And I'm dyslexic actually. Yeah, and that's really dyslexic. That's also mentioned in the book as well. It's your it's an auditory processing. Yeah, it's your brain's going, oh, like I'm getting out of here. I'm not doing it. It changes the way your mind works. Dyslexia is really interesting because, I can do maths very differently to most people. My kids were like, Mum, I'm like, you're not doing homework with me. And I'm like, yeah, I'm probably not the person. And being told that you're shit at maths your whole life as well, which is actually and the school system being the way it is, that you have to do it this way. And I remember arguing with teachers, no, I got the same answer as you. And they're like, but you didn't do it the same way. And I don't care. And I kind of look at it as your brain as a processing system like Apple versus Android. It's different. It's just different. It's okay. And I think the whole brain is a spectrum. So instead of having labelled that, it's ADHD or it's autism or it's this or it's Asperger or it's this, it's a case of my brain functions like this. And if we work with how our brain functions, I do a lot of work through business and life strategy with people who are trying to understand how their brain works to then be able to function. If you understand the ways that your brain processes information and you work with those processes and you learn ways to do that, We don't need to keep labeling people and ostracizing people and minorities. And I think now, like what they would say is neurotypical would be a minority. And everybody else is actually now in a majority. And then don't even go into the whole medication side. But you know what I mean? It's like if you look at it like that it's a spectrum and how does my brain work best? And you work with your brain best as opposed to, but I can't do this and I can't do that. It's a deficit. It's just a process, difference in processing.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most valuable things that Cam has said to me is I need to process things in a way that makes sense to me. And it's like, fuck, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Same as, that's why school's not for everyone, because for me, I'm not a visual person. So when a teacher's explaining something and I can't I can't conceptualize that in my mind.
Yeah, you can't see.
I'm like, we need to do it.
We need to,
I need to be hands-on doing it, and then I'll get it, because I can't see how it's done if I'm not seeing how it's done, if I'm not doing it.
And that happens at karate, so I'll be teaching, particularly with kids, but more so with adults now I'm finding, and someone's looking at me like I don't understand, so I'll stop. Okay, so how would you prefer me? Would you prefer me to stand beside you, or would you prefer me to stand in front of you? And so we work out. So I know with certain people in there, I need to take them aside. I'm going to stand beside you. I want you to copy what I'm doing and do it that way, and sort of working out there's no one way to do stuff and how to work with them so that they can actually learn. And one of my student Scotty is like, oh my God, I can't believe that you've taught me how to use my brain differently, and I'm trying to fit into something that I can't physically fit into. I think I was diagnosed with dyslexia when I was 21, 22 at a workplace, and they said, you don't pick up spelling errors. I'm like, oh, okay. And when I read and I skip words ahead. So it's like my brain rolls faster than what I can get out. So like there's certain things that are, but is it trauma related? Is it your brain's functionality? But learning to work with that is interesting versus just numbing it or trying to change
medicating
it. Medicating
it. Yeah.
It's interesting.
I think the science is really interesting to do a study of the correlation between trauma, dyslexia, trauma, blah, 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 all the disorders and go, all right, like there's a pattern here, and that's... What would the world be like if we didn't have trauma-inducing acts? If we just lived with a harmonious, loving world where this didn't happen, would we have less incidence of ADHD? Also, the food we're given and the jabs we're given. If it was just a organic, wholesome world, would we have disease because it's dis-ease? If we didn't have all the pain, would it not be perpetuated and passed down,
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot to that. You used to be someone who say, I just eat well. I've eaten organically for 20 years, so that to me is normal. But, now it's a case of I don't wear sunscreen. I don't wear sunglasses anymore, actually. That was one of my latest little experiments.
I've never been able to wear them. I feel like I can't hear someone if I'm wearing glasses. Is that weird?
That's really interesting.
If I'm having a conversation with them and I'll
you can't hear them.
If I'm like, oh, sorry, like...
Same with across the mouth.
Yeah.
Masks and things.
I'm like, I never wore them. But yeah, if someone's talking to me and I'm wearing... Which I never wear sunnies, they don't suit my head anyway. But, and same as if they're wearing sunnies, I feel like it's disrespectful in general. But it's like, if I would have to take them off and then, I can hear you now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so, like, the list is long now of the things that out of a mainstream world that you don't want to do now. Whereas it used to be like the alternative style used to be one or two things. Now it's a list of what you don't need to do. And the sunnies was one that I've done since January. And I had my eyes corrected 20 odd years ago now. I had the old fashioned way they actually slice your eyeball and they reshape your eyeball.
Damn. Okay.
So I've got scars through my eyes. So it lasted 20 odd years, which was great. And now my eyesight is starting to just naturally decline. But they talk about sunglasses and prohibiting the messages from your eyes to your brain to tell your skin the sun's out, and a couple of other things so those messages to the brain through sunshine is really important.
Because you think you're in a dark room, you don't need it. Yeah,
and that melatonin production and all those sorts of things, because we wear sunglasses all day, and vitamin D production because we wear sunscreen, all of that sort of jazz. We could go on this all day. But you know what I mean? So it's interesting, the sunnies, and now I can actually drive without being affected by the sunlight.
Yeah.
Whereas at first I was like, so bright.
What? This is great because I replied to your story about this the other day as well. The artificial light, and you use the red light. You've been using
I've been using the red light.
Do you want to talk about that?
So far infrared I've been looking into for a little while, and when I had really bad adrenal fatigue and my body started to shut down, that was one of the things I did was far infrared saunas, and it really made a difference. And it works at a cellular level sort of thing, but we spend I've often questioned now what's going on in what the system's trying to produce. And so we're in the room now. I don't actually have my lights on in my office. I rely on natural light as much as I humanly can and those types of things. And so having the red light, it's at a cellular level, but I'm feeling it. I can really feel the difference. And it's quite interesting because my salt lamp and my phone are green. And I don't have blue light on my phone. Everyone looks at my phone and says, your phone looks weird, because I don't have the blue light on. I have it all removed. And it's kind of hidden in plain sight. All the studies are done on blue light and all these other things, but for some reason we don't want to look at them. It's too hard. It's too hard. So I'm trialling the red light at the moment and doing all of that, and it seems to be working. But it did work when I initially, started to get my body back on track. I managed to reverse 3 or more autoimmune diseases, which I was told I'd have for life, through food, far infrared saunas, dry needling, and all those things as well. I've got 2 to go. I can do it. I'm gonna make it happen.
Just touching quickly on the intuition thing, that's another one with food. Healthy gut, better intuition, because it's, I have a gut instinct. If your gut isn't working properly, your gut instincts aren't going to be working either. Yeah,
that was a really interesting story. I was away recently and I stayed on the Gold Coast, and I stayed with this lovely lady. She had a little Airbnb. It was really cute. She messaged me and said, would you like some pumpkin soup? I'm like, yeah, that'd be lovely. She's going to make it. I'm like, also homemade pumpkin soup. I react quite violently to coconut cream for some reason. Don't know, don't care. And she brought me down this soup, and it was sitting on my bench. I'm going to have that tomorrow. And I pulled it out to have it, and I thought, as I thought in my brain, what if she used coconut cream? The soup dropped out of my hands onto the floor, and I couldn't eat it.
So she did, yeah.
Yes, and I rang her and I said, did you use coconut? She goes, I actually did. Did you not like coconut cream? I said, I actually reacted to it. She's like, oh my God. Did you eat it? I'm like, no, it actually dropped out of my hands. And I feel like in my bestie, this is the same bestie that I've had forever. She studied naturopathy over 8 years, mind you, so that she could actually help feed her children and her family and treat them. And she often used to say to me, your body will innately eat. So you'll crave something because you're lacking in something, or you'll want something for other reasons. So I've always followed that sort of instinct as well, that, your intuition on food. I don't eat almonds. I think almonds are not great for you in general.
Lowest testosterone.
Yeah, almonds are one of those things. And same with almond milks and things, chemical shitstorm in my opinion. But so innately, if you follow what your body wants, I think if you're sticking with that intuition, and we get that intuition strong by removing all the things that change it, it kind of works. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Food's an interesting one though. Yeah. The coconut was funny with the coconut cream.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, I've spilled a pumpkin soup. Oh my God, she's made me pumpkin soup. I've spilled it everywhere.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's got coconut cream in it. Yep.
Yeah, it's like, oh, now I don't have to eat it. So, yeah, funny how that works. But you're in an Airbnb.
Yes.
You own an Airbnb. Let's talk about your property portfolio. So among the karate, the kahuna, the skincare, also now, as a business coach, but property portfolio. So you obviously invest in that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I sold Gaia, I had no idea what I was going to do after Gaia, and also what to do with your sales proceeds. What do you do? And I'm very fortunate that I've been surrounded by some really amazing people that were like, well, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I'm going to live off interest. And then COVID hit and interest went, and I'm like, oh shit, now what are we going to do? So we sort of worked through and learnt and worked through some really smart people that helped me understand property investment, wealth creation, and that type of thing, to then be able to have a look at investing into the right spaces. And I was talking to someone the other day that's like, oh, I want to go and have a look at this house around the corner. It's this amount. And I'm like, why are you choosing that house for an investment property? And like, oh, because it's this amount, it's this amount. I go, is the growth in the area? What are the stats on it? what's the capital growth for the future? Is there infrastructure? Like, so learning those things is really, really key. So yeah, so building a portfolio I have built now, plus my Airbnb, which was going to be my house I'm going to live in, but I'm not sure I'm doing that anymore. Life can change, and you can change it, doesn't matter. It's not set in stone. Airbnb is tough. Airbnb is actually not set and forget. People think it's set and forget and you'll just make money. It's actually not like that. But so and that's part of what I do as a business strategist now, is I work with people on understanding wealth creation and learning how to what they need to understand to make that work, because we spend so many times at barbecues where someone says, don't buy that, don't buy here, don't buy that, and don't buy that. Property is really stable.
Yeah.
It always is stable. It's always proven stable.
Yeah, don't take advice off your friend's dad who's got one investment property because they bought their first one for bugger all. They don't know everything because they managed to buy a house for 200 grand.
Learn.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting, because I believe it takes a village, not just with your children, your environment, but with the places in which you learn, grow and create as well. So, it takes a team to help you do things, your health, your that side. People don't think about it until it's too late.
Yeah.
People get to their businesses and think their business is going to be sold and is going to become their super. It's not.
No.
And legislation changes.
Especially the economic landscape and the legislative landscape is ever changing, and especially now they're looking more into it. And you look at crypto, you look at ways to make money. It seems like it's getting harder and harder for a normal person.
Unrealized
to
gains
succeed.
that they're looking at. It's like
it's funny enough, because that's where our chat went with Brent about the vaccines. It was unrealized gains on your super because it wasn't. What's the word? It wasn't like it's 3 million flat, so in 20 years it's still 3 million. What's the word for that?
Accumulative or like the growth side of things.
So it's like 3 million now. It doesn't account for inflation. So 3 million in 20 years is probably what 2.4 is now.
Yeah.
It's like, well, 3 million of super by the time I'm retiring is bugger all. Will be bugger all.
Yes.
But they're setting that, they want to set that as a flat rule.
I know.
So what do you do? Because you would get to 2.9999 and go, all right, capping out my super, I'm spending it because otherwise I'm going to lose it.
Because I'm going to lose it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, you talk about property portfolios and those types of things. And one of the things that I did get a lot of messages about when I did end my marriage was, I wish I could do that. And the amount of women that are not financially
literate?
Secure or literate is huge. So women are staying in relationships because they have no choice.
Yeah.
So I think that side of things, that financial independence is really, really important. And I guess as a 19-year-old young female is probably something to actually delve into and understand so that they have options. Because so many, I can't tell you the amount of people that messaged me and the amount of people I thought were happy in their marriages. That actually said to me, I wish I could leave, but I can't.
Never idolise anyone else's relationship or life, because you never know, unless you talk to them, you never know what's going on behind closed doors. Because every time there's something, no matter how beautiful it looks.
Oh, yeah.
And the word I was looking for is indexed.
Indexed. Yeah. No, it's not. It's actually this. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 million forever. Yeah. But
financial literacy is really important.
Yeah, and instead of watching true crime documentaries or podcasts, or watching reality TV show about people's bullshit relationships that aren't real.
I don't watch TV. I have no idea what's
but that's all the rage. Or, some idiot influencers podcast about drama. Listen to Equity Mates podcast, like a Australian investment podcast, or listen to a podcast. Watch some YouTube for 15 minutes while you're driving home, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Because there's so many great resources out there that you can take in and just substitute it for some your scrolling time. Like, look at your TikTok, look at your screen time. If you're doing 3 hours a day, take 20 minutes of that out and read 10 pages of a book a day instead. Something like that. There's
so many podcasts on that side, and, urban property investor, there's Wealth, Wine and Wisdom, which is like done over a wine on a Friday afternoon, which is pretty cool. Jason Witten, he's got a really good one. But it's interesting I was astounded by the amount of women that don't have financial literacy or believe that they can achieve financial independence, or believe that going into a marriage they have to combine all of their stuff. That's like something they believe is just a natural occurrence as you get married.
Yeah, it's huge. But the biggest thing I'm realising now is working in a bank, and people that come into banks, most of
Friend. Banks are not your friend.
yeah.
Yes.
Working in a bank, most of our demographic is retired people, as we're open between 9:30 and 4. The rest of the people, unless you're lucky enough to not have to work, it's mostly retired people coming to the bank because everyone else is at work, right?
Yep.
A lot of people come in, I just need some help, want some advice because my partner's dead or just died and I don't know what to do with the money because they did all the banking.
No idea.
Man or woman, it's usually one person that runs a show, and it's the man who goes, she takes care of the money, I just earn it. Or it's the man or the woman, depending on the man's job.
He's my dad.
Yeah. He's like, he did all the, he was an accountant, so he took care of the money and I never did anything. I raised the kids. And now he's dead and now I'm screwed.
Yeah.
It's either side.
It's either side.
If you outsource all of your finance knowledge to one person, well, unfortunately, there's going to come a time when you don't have them, whether it's a breakup or they die.
Yes.
Either way, there's
You're
going
at
to
risk.
be... Yeah.
So I have a saying with that is that outsource the task, don't outsource the understanding. Make sure you understand what it is you're giving to somebody to do. And, the amount of people that I've been working with as part of the exit plan, which is it's exit plan for business owners and how to create wealth and minimise tax legally and all the rest of it, is that people that are saying it at 55 and 60 going, oh, my God, if I had known this earlier, you can do something about it. But you can't go back.
Yeah.
But you can try and then reorganise and restructure. But it's amazing how I'm astounded at how many women don't have financial literacy, don't believe they need it, can't leave marriages because of it. And I actually, it's something that I'm proud of myself for. I have two boys still living with me, still maintaining. I have, including my house, I think 7 odd properties and whatever else, and shares and other bits and pieces, and it's diversified and that side of things. And being able to do that through knowledge, being able to do that because I learnt how to, and then make good decisions rather than just buying in your local area because your estate agent told you they're not the best person to talk about investing.
No, they're invested in making money.
Selling you a property, starting to work out what the A-grade properties are and how you assess. If you can buy a good property, do it every day of the week because your capital goal, understanding what your goals are. Is it cash flow? Is it capital growth? Like, women just don't understand these things.
Yeah.
And they can't be independent without it.
I also think there's just a problem in society that we like the idea of being rich, the idea of looking rich, and we're so materialistic that we would rather buy a Range Rover, buy a nice car on finance, which is fine if you want to finance a car because you don't have the money right now, but you need a car. But you finance a $60,000 car and you would rather look that way and rent your house.
Yeah.
The other one is, instead of buying a property in a growing area that doesn't look that great, they go, nah, I'll buy the newer, nicer looking house in an area that has no growth because it looks better and it would look better on Instagram or for the couple people that you have come over. It's like, well... Yeah. And I guess if that's what your values are, then fine. But realistically, as you get older and you have kids and you need equity for whatever reason, or you do separate, or you feel stuck in your marriage and you go, well, if I sold this house, it is worth what it was then.
Yeah, I can do this. It's interesting when you look at cars and everything else, and there's a book called The Millionaire Next Door. It's a really interesting one. And the other one's Die with Zero. Actually, that's changed my whole way I want to do my wealth side of things for a legacy for my kids and stuff like that. But you look at that, and I had a Ford Territory. I've driven a Ford Territory. I had I swapped them over because of business and everything. And when I sold my Territory, I went back down. I've got a little Kia, a little Stonic. And someone said, why aren't you driving, one of the latest Mercs, whatever? I don't want to. It's material. It doesn't mean anything to me. I can't justify spending that amount of money on a car. I just drive from A to B. I don't, why?
Yeah.
It's really interesting, that side of things, of the materialism and looking a certain part, or the neighbours have got this. My mum was very much, well, why have they got that? And, so I know my money story was quite shitful for quite a while until I had to do it on my own.
Yeah, what made you learn about money? Because you said you left school early, moved out of home before 18.
Yep.
When did your final literacy come in? Was it after Gaia or during Gaia, or did you?
Bit of both. Yeah. Simon's very financially literate, which is great because I learnt a lot from him. But also, I remember saying a lot about my relationship with my mum. Being 15 and getting my first job at Woolworths as a checkout chick, and my mum had said, "You're going to buy your own stuff now. I'm not supporting you anymore." And I'm like, oh shit. I was very resourceful. So back then I said to the dance teacher, I'll do your admin if you give me the dance classes. She's like, okay. So I learnt very quickly how to be resourceful with money as opposed to accumulating money. So I learnt to be quite resourceful, and I'm quite frugal. I don't live an extravagant lifestyle. And when I travel, and I like to travel a lot, I stay in little Airbnbs. I'm really happy as long as there's nature. Like I don't need for much. But the financial literacy came having a business, having Gaia, and having to work through millions and millions of dollars and not go under and have 15 people and da-da-da-da-da. Like this whole sort of side of things. And then I realised when I moved out, I was actually quite good at my numbers, whereas I was being told I wasn't. So there's that whole story and that picture that you're being told, and being dyslexic, I triple checked things. I did actually have one of my first jobs was in a lawyer's firm, and they hired me, and I'm like, gee, they hired me to do this, managing and balancing their trust funds, which is weird because I'm not that literate in, like my maths is all over. And I picked up an error, and I said, there's an error here. And they're like, no, that's not an error. And I'm like, yes, it is. I've triple checked it. Anyway, the person that picked up the error was embezzling money. So it's really interesting when you look at that, you know, what you need and what you don't need. But when moving out, I realised I was actually quite good at budgeting and all that. So I lived on my own until I was 26, from 17, had to budget, had to work through it, still did the things I wanted to do, fighting around the world tournaments. We used to just get credit cards, go and take the credit card, come back paid off. Like, you know, so...
So crazy, that whole culture of credit cards too, because old people go,
I don't have a credit
which credit card do you have? And I was like, I don't have one. I live within my means.
Yeah.
But back in they talk about it as a credit card as a form of safety. Oh, well, if my card got hacked, all my money in my account would be stolen. I was like, but the same with your credit card. If you have a $50,000 credit card limit, they're taking money that you don't even have that you've got to pay back.
But it's more debt.
Yeah,
And
it's so strange.
To get it, and I had a credit card for quite some time, where I actually had to apply to the bank to get the limit down to $500.
You had to apply to drop it?
Yep.
Oh, you can just do that from your phone, yeah.
We can now, but then it was an Amex or whatever. They were like, no, it's $5,000 limit. And then they send you a letter that says, we're going to give you a $14,000 limit.
Yeah.
I don't want it.
Yeah.
Don't want it. Send it back. I don't need it. But yeah, I don't have a credit card at all.
That's criminal. They should not be allowed to do that.
No, I don't have to do it anymore.
Because they're forcing you into debt.
Yes, they're forcing you. They are forcing you. They're giving you the means.
Especially people who have their self-control issues. They go, well, I've got 14 grand, I'm going to spend it.
It's not their money.
Yeah.
I guess credit card people are looking at credit cards and pay off, what is it?
Buy now, pay later.
Buy now, pay later. How that impacts their ability to get a loan, get finance for a property, or is actually quite high. Yeah,
it's huge. Because when I went through the process of pre-approval, they spoke about that, and the other one is gambling. Sports, online gambling, which is crazy. It's so bad. It's rampant. I know, my brother was gambling underage. Like, at 17, had a sports bet account. Dad gambling, picked up the habits, and having technology is a very easy resource. And that's another footy culture thing. Is footy's on? What multi have you got on? What are you gambling on? Is that? I don't now. I don't gamble. I quit all the things at once.
They're things I didn't get involved in.
It's so accepted. Same as drugs now.
It's cheaper to go out and buy drugs than it is to drink.
Oh, God, yeah.
That's mental.
Yeah. But you know, it's funny though, drugs are expensive in Australia as opposed to overseas as well. So, but yeah, that's also the problem with taxing with the drugs.
Alcohol.
Not with drugs, with alcohol and cigarettes. Yeah. One, they can tax through the roof. People are always going to buy it with the cigarettes. Now they, go to vapes and all that sort of thing, which is a whole nother story. But alcohol, they'll tax it through the roof. The people who won't do drugs will still drink alcohol.
Yeah.
So they just make more money. And then the people that it might push them to do drugs or try drugs. And then it's also a justification for people for doing drugs as well. They go, well, it's cheaper than drinking, so I'm going to do it anyway. It's like, well, that's bullshit, but also, how can you argue it?
It's a bit. I didn't know. No. I wouldn't even contemplate doing drugs, but it is amazing how common it is.
Yeah.
And my boy's coming out now and saying, yeah, we used to do this, and I'm like, eh. And I thought that I was that parent that had open communication and all this sort of jazz and stuff they're coming out with now. I'm like, holy shit, I didn't know about that.
But that's the thing, because you've never done it, you can't speak from a place of experience about how, you can't say, don't do them because I've done it and this negative experience happened to me. That would lead them more inclined to go, all right, like, I know I don't need to go through that problem because I know from your experience.
Yes.
So
it's what I don't know about. I know about the alcohol side of being saying, and I don't tolerate alcohol very well.
Yeah.
That was another reason.
That would also, going through your experience, would help your boys be better young men, because they would go, well, I would never let that happen to a woman because I know it's happened to my
They don't know.
Well, there you go. I doubt they'll listen. But
they don't know about a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's not stuff I've shared with them.
Yeah. See, I think it's hard because I can speak it from a place of detachment because I haven't had to feel from it.
Yeah.
But knowing that happens to women, I could never do that to someone. That's crazy to me that anyone could ever think to do that. Like that.
There's a really good video. Having 3 boys, I was very conscious about sex and sex ed and everything else, and rather than stick a condom on a banana at school or whatever, there's a really good video, and it's they use tea as a metaphor for consent. It's the best. I can't think what it's called. Just look up tea and metaphor for consent. It's so good. And it talks about making someone a cup of tea. They don't have to drink the tea. And if they pass out, don't feed them tea. Like it really shows that consent piece for people that they're learning from porn, they're learning from online. They don't actually understand what consent means or what sex looks like anymore.
Yeah.
They learnt at such a young age on Pornhub and those sort of places. So this video is amazing, and I sent it all my boys, and they were like, Mom, I'm like, just do it, it's fine. And it really shows people what that means, what consent means. And you think to yourself, when you say you wouldn't feed a person that's unconscious tea, then why the stuff do you go and do something to someone while they're unconscious when you're drunk? Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's sort of, so it's interesting. It's interesting that whole sort of piece, and the alcohol that impacts so many people that do things and then realise the next day, and oh my God, and me being, I remember back in the tunnel days, being on a podium, and I used to go out in little tiny hot pants and little tiny tops.
The tunnel in like Flinders Street?
Yeah, which is now a mini golf venue, I now know.
Is it?
Yeah, I was there the other day, actually. Oh. And I used to go out like that, right, and someone would look at me sideways. I'm like, what the fuck are you looking at?
Yeah.
And I would deck them. I had so many, my poor best friend, she used to pull me out of places.
Yeah.
But that was why I stopped alcohol, because that's what it did to me.
Yeah.
Was that it would make me open up into the places where I believe trauma was.
100%.
I couldn't manage it, so therefore it would come out in rage.
What do you think the relationship between wearing provocative outfits are and then getting reactions like that? Because surely you know that people are going to react like that. It's
a really interesting one. And I think a woman should be able to wear what she likes without being ridiculed. And why does people actually... I know, we've been on for hours.
It's just died. The volume will keep recording internally.
Okay. There's two sides to this. Yeah. One of them is other people do not get the right to talk about your body or your anything. I don't even have a cord.
No, that's all right. I'll just do it the rest of my phone.
But I don't want to walk down Chapel Street on a Saturday night, if you've ever been in there on a Saturday night, wearing next to nothing, because I feel like that I will be accosted. Yeah. So I don't want to put myself in that situation. It's kind of a hard one. People aren't...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's called provocative outfit for a reason.
Yeah.
And I feel like women wear certain things for attention.
Yes.
Goes without saying. And then when they get attention, depending on the person's reaction and who's reacting,
yeah,
it's accepted or isn't.
Yeah,
so
interesting.
You know what I mean? If someone looks at you sideways and you deck them, but if it was a guy you're attracted to who goes, "Oh, you look alright," you'd be like, "Oh,
Hello. Yeah.
So that's why I find this an interesting conversation because
Yeah. How do you not look?
you like where
You're
and the same
attracted
thing,
to.
we spoke
Yeah.
about the hips thing,
Yeah.
right? Guys, you see a girl for the first time, you go, well, you're innately going, will she be a good mother of my child? That's part
Yep,
of
that's
dating
the.
process. You meet her, you're like, well, one, am I attracted to her? Yes, and then you meet the person. Oh, you the personality. Two.
It's not what most people do in dating, but
Yeah,
yes.
okay. True. But it is. You know, you see someone topless on the beach. You're
Yeah.
gonna look.
Look.
You're
Yeah.
gonna look like, and it's unconscious. It's not
Yes.
like, oh fuck your tits. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, and then you think something of it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what the thought is in your brain. Is,
Yeah.
but that's that's just a natural reaction. Same, you see anyone naked, a guy or a girl is going to go, oh shit, naked person. Then you go, oh fuck, not meant to look.
And there's the comparison thing too. So, and as I say, having the bikini on the beach to me was a really liberating process, especially when I was next to people 20 years younger than me that are very thin and had beautiful bodies. I was like, oh my God, am I doing this? I'm like, yes, I have to for me. And then being told by some random you don't know, why are you wearing that? I was like, mate, I'm not here for your viewing pleasure.
Yeah.
Like, and then someone going, oh, well, you shouldn't be dressed like that. And I'm like, well, not everyone likes peaches, babe. It's all good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what you think.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that people feel obliged to say people can't wear those clothes and shouldn't wear those clothes or feel good about themselves. This person can because they look awesome.
Yeah.
Like, where's the line of that ability? And unfortunately, you are in a space where people do get attacked for what they wear.
Yeah.
So it's a hard one. If I had a daughter, thankfully I don't, I would be very much like, oh, please don't go out in that. I've got friends that have daughters and I'm just like, they're gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And I'm just like, oh my God, how do you sleep at night? Because knowing that they will potentially be part of predatory behavior.
Yeah, like I'm all for body positivity and wearing what makes you feel good, of course. But you also have to be realistic and understand the world we live in.
Yes.
Everything is based on judgment. Every post you have has a like or comment button for a reason.
Yes, it's designed that way.
Yeah, exactly right. So when you go out and you wear clothes that's low cut, short, or a guy's going out without a top on, you're going with the expectation that someone's going to judge you, whether it's to your face or not. There's going to be a comment. So,
and it's hard. I'm a big busty woman, so it's really hard because if I wear tops up to here, I just look like I'm just fat. So I always wear V-necks, and I've got to a point where I'm like, I can't do anything about that. Like, I'm busty. I can't, and I'm not going to wear tops up here because it looks worse. So it's kind of like, all right, well, this is what I'm at. I'm kind of hard. And every now and then you kind of got to up here, like not down here, or are you right? Or, like... Hello.
Yeah, but that's...
Don't talk to the girls, talk to me. And they're like, what? And I'm like, don't talk to the girls.
Sometimes it can be unconscious. Sometimes it's piggish. But that is for things that you don't see every day and you see it, you're drawn to what you don't realize. All the time, like I said, old ladies at work, right? They all stare at my hair. I'm talking to them like, oh, my ass is out here, babe, all right? Stop judging. But it's because it's like, you don't see a pair of breasts every day. You don't see a guy with dreadlocks in a bank in a suit every day.
No.
Dreadlocks in general. But then they're like, oh, wouldn't it? Like a lady, first thing, open the doors, the bank walks in. Now I've seen everything. I'm like, it's just hair. And it's the same. It's like, it's just a top.
It's just a top. And it's just a body. That's what massage has taught me. So doing the massage course, there's 7 levels to Kahuna. The first level was just a base level. The second level, a little bit more. The third level is a really beautiful level. It's a real foundational level. I'm done up to 3. But I walked in and it's done by, the company's done by a Dutch or Swedish, can't remember. I think it's Dutch, maybe Danish, couple. So sauna, no clothes. And I'm like, I can't go in there with no clothes on. Right, I was the only one with no clothes. I was the only one in a bikini. Like, I was the only one in my bathers going, and now I feel uncomfortable. But why they do that as part of their course is to teach you the bodies are bodies. So, and bodies are so sexualized. And having massaged people now is another thing that's really contributed to me accepting and loving my body, is because I'm massaging people going, they look beautiful. What's my problem? Why am I so hard on myself? And and seeing that comparison, that you kind of go, what is wrong with me that I'm looking at myself this way, and I'm looking at this person, similar body shape, they look amazing, like they've got a beautiful body, and learning that bodies are bodies, and taking that sexual connotation away from a body. And it's like that platonic touch stuff, right? So you can actually have friends that you can sit with, and people think touch, the word touch in itself is a sexualized. Yeah. So it's so interesting where this sexualized side of thing has come from. And, you know, girls, really young ages now, wearing things and strutting around and doing all these things might be a natural, innate thing for them as well, but also what's visually they're seeing at such a young age.
Yeah, visual. Oh, man, yeah, that stuff.
The grooming side.
Yeah. Well,
Glad I don't have girls.
It's in cartoons, it's in TV shows.
Yep.
Yeah, and it leads to some seriously dangerous places with schools. Like we've just seen the incident with the childcare centers.
Oh my God! Like yeah,
people who are on the freaky area of the brain, and then like anything that could, you know, you sexualize kids, and then it sets off that like an impulse. And then that cycle is a learned behavior. So it's probably happened to that person as a kid, and they see it, and it happens.
Yep. And it's a learned behavior. It's a learnt behaviour. Yeah.
Because, you know, through learning through the body keep score, kids that were sexually abused like tend to have
high sex
drive, sexual tendencies. Also could be abuses going on.
Yep.
It's like, well, that's why we're where we are. And then all these things are being pushed to kids as well.
Have you seen, so I have friends in the AFP who work in the sexual crimes area. Now, the question that's being asked, someone has just been charged recently for distributing AI child pornography. How do you know it's real or not real anymore?
Yeah.
And so this is a contentious issue of the intention to distribute. And so this is all law, like the laws are now in the AI space, particularly so it's centered around this side of things, and child pornography and pedophilia is now open. But this is it, right? But does it keep people from going near small children? Or like, so this is something that's actually a massive topic right now, because, and there was, I can't think where it was in Australia or overseas, where a person was charged for distributing AI pornography and child pornography and pedophilia. So
I think it's just as bad because it's the intention behind it.
Well, this is what they were charged with, the intent to commit the crime. And they're arguing that, well, I didn't do it. It was all like this. Yeah, but you're distributing it to people who could then potentially believe that is a real child and take that and do something with that.
Yeah.
So this is a really big area at the moment that's being looked at, of the intention of versus the reality of. And
because it opens up the space, because someone might not be as inclined, and then it's porn's addictive. It's an addiction.
Yeah.
So it feeds it.
It feeds, and then they want more, like, and then
that's not enough. I want the real stuff.
Well, they say that with murder is they go to small animals, then they go to like, where's the, so so it's interesting that you look at that side and see what's the intent to commit, and little girls' dolls and things now that are so, Bratz dolls, I think when they came out were really sexualized, and that, but it is something like the Kahuna side of things, doing the saunas and being naked in a sauna took me, and the last one I went to, I was actually naked in the sauna, which was the first time. I was very uncomfortable, but realizing bodies are bodies. And we're the ones that sexualize them.
I think it's remembering bodies are bodies, and it goes back to Adam and Eve with the apple. Yeah. They didn't know they were naked until they had the apple, and that's like the ego coming in.
Yeah.
It's if, you know, you don't need to be religious, but that thing was like, oh, that's when they put the leaf there, and I was like, wow, it's when the devil came in, and that's evil. The comparison, the judgment, it wouldn't have been there. If we were pure and innocent, you wouldn't know. Yeah. Do you find
half
that
pop has penis, half pop has vagina? Like,
it is what it is. But just remember that. When we're all different shapes and sizes, and we are made in God's image, we're made you know, you shouldn't feel bad for looking the way you do. You're perfect the way you are. Obviously, if you're feeding yourself shit and doing it, it's like, all right, like that's not perfect. There's a line. But yeah, you don't need to be 20 and having Botox to look a different way because of that comparison to someone else.
I found myself looking at people's lips because, there's an
Huge.
area that I'm paranoid about in myself. And I'm looking going, lips don't do that. Like, how? Like, there's like,
Yeah, for sure.
But the amount of young people that have it is actually quite astounding, and what impacts it's going to have on their body going forward.
Yeah.
And this is getting it like being 52 now, going, I wish I was back where I was when I was 20, looking like I did that I didn't like at the time.
It's crazy for me seeing girls. One, fake lips is one, but fake boobs, and then you go and have kids as well. It's like, well, they're going to get destroyed anyway.
Oh yeah.
And you don't want that to impact.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have boobs. I haven't spoken to anyone about it, but how that in fact impacts breast, like milk production and stuff.
I'm not 100% sure. I've never looked into
Or like
that
the
myself.
impact of like breastfeeding. Well, I don't know what that has, but I know that it's like your breasts change after you give birth.
I guess the ducts that you would, or is it behind the ducts? I don't know.
I don't know. I haven't had my breasts done, but I'm
naturally gifted in
yeah,
that.
yeah. But I know that breastfeeding changes a woman's boobs. They obviously grow. Milk's taken out of them. They
shrink, they grow, shrink, they grow.
And you fill them with silicone. What's going to happen when that?
But this is what I mean when they get older and they don't want these things anymore. Their skin has been used to being a certain size or shape. You take them out.
Yeah.
There's a gap to fill.
Yeah.
Like there's a hole.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting one.
I'm trying very hard to try and age gracefully, and I'm an expressive person, so I feel all the wrinkles and I feel all of those sorts of things. Yeah, look at this.
Yeah.
And I feel all of that now, and particularly after the age of about 49, it goes fast. Like everything changes fast. My skin's changed, and I'm like, where'd that come from? That's another one.
Yeah.
Like, what's this? And it does. So, but in the same breath, some people that want to. My mum had a breast reduction because she had big boobs and she felt so much better about herself. So I think sometimes...
Yeah, I think if it's for a greater good, like health, but if it's out of vanity, then it's different. Yeah.
So it's...
Because I know, like, big breasts, a lot of weight pulling your center of gravity, of course, it's going to... Yeah. That's like common sense.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One final topic that we haven't touched on.
I know, we've touched on a few
been in a lot of places. But we spoke about mental health and you're an advocate for suicide prevention.
Yep.
Firstly, I want to know why you wanted to, and that Guy, talk about what you're sponsoring with Guy previously, and why that was a thing that you're passionate about.
Suicide prevention was something I was passionate about because I had suicide ideation myself and I didn't think I was going to survive my life. And having boys, I have 3 boys are higher incidence of suicide. So I tried to make sure that I was providing for them mental health services and options to talk to people so that I could minimise that, chances. We used to support Beyond Blue. We used to support quite a few other of the smaller suicide preventional stuff with donations and being part of and all that sort of jazz. Every year we did a lot of kind of more behind the scenes stuff because I really wanted to make it prevalent for people that this is a thing you need to not shy away from and it needs to be talked about. And getting a phone call that one of my children had tried to take their life was one of the biggest shocks I'd ever have, because I had done all the things to try and make sure that they were in a space they didn't have to worry about it. And then I'm like, how did I not see this? How the hell I'm in this space? I'm passionate about this and I didn't see it. And because most of the people in those spaces that truly take their life, no one really knows. They hide behind smiles and, brave faces and everything else. So it was something that I felt was really, really important for people to talk about because it wasn't talked about. And it's more talked about now, but it's prevalent. And it's interesting where you talk the men, women need men, and, that whole feminist chat sort of thing. But women need the men. And if the men are falling over, then there's a deficit in that, the balance of why men and women, balance each other out. So, but it's just was such a high incidence, and I had 3 boys and I know where I was at. So it was sort of like, it made sense to me to try and support people because it wasn't something that people talked about. That's why I love what you're doing with Men Over Matter, kind of going, you know, let's talk about stuff, let's work through stuff. And the amount of people that you hear go, thank you, or I follow this page because, or they may not necessarily, and this is where you don't know who you influence, where the people are follow from afar and they don't necessarily interact, but that helps them. It helps them along the way. Don't even think about the bullying side of things, the cyberbullying which occurs, but yeah, that was why I really felt that it was something that wasn't talked about. And I had 3 boys, and I really wanted to make sure that they were okay.
As a mum of 3 boys and has a son who's struggled with mental health, and I know one of your kids lost a friend, not to to a car crash, but
yeah.
they, kids dealing with grief.
Yeah.
What is it like trying to be a mum supporting that, and what have you done to try, what is a tool that a mum can use that has a child going through that stuff with, and the kid is dealing with grief as well, because grief is
big.
something that a kid in their late teens, early or at any age has to deal with, but a kid that hasn't had to deal with much hardship in their life, let alone losing a friend at that age, it would seem like the end of the world, right?
Oh. He's coming up to his anniversary in 2 weeks. He's 12 months of his death. Jake is a very well-rounded kid, and he was flawed. And I think the things that I learnt from being in a marriage where this is one of the things where values is really important when you're looking at a future partner, and looking at values and how you were parented and how you parent, how you want to parent versus they don't match a lot of the time. So, I'm very much made sure that I've always been available for my boys to talk, regardless of the situation, regardless of whether I liked it or I didn't. I've always held my tongue and allowed them to just spew out what it is they needed to talk about, because it's important when the big shit happens that they're able to come to you and say, I'm in trouble. I need to get out of it. How do we do this? Versus if they can't tell you the small stuff and you go mad at them over that, they're never going to come to you over the big stuff. So I've really made sure that that's occurred, and getting them to feel. Like, boys don't want to feel. It's kind of shut that down. They're very much about, I don't want to feel that shit. I'll go and numb it in some capacity. But learning to feel it and talk and actively talk is really important. It's a hard one. It's a real hard one. And it's really hard at the moment when Max wakes up. We had an incident the other day. I had to drop Max to school, school. He's in uni. It's first year at uni. I still say school. And from the moment I woke up to the moment I got him to work, it was all negative. And I said to him, stop. I cannot do this all day, every day. And when he was struggling really bad with his mental health, I used to when I drop him at school, I would say to him every single morning, find the gem in the day. And I thought it kind of fell on deaf ears. And then when I moved into my house and I didn't hide that I was actually hurting from my kids. I let them see and be part of that journey. Max said to me one day, find the gem, Mum. And he said, I heard you every single day. And that's when you realise, again, you don't know what you're influencing by what you're saying, and to be patient, to be able to, that toxic positivity is a real thing, telling them they're not feeling what they're feeling when they are, and acknowledging that step forward and acknowledging the next thing they want to do and the next just little steps, not big steps, little steps, and really helping them acknowledge those little steps. And mine have all been in therapy since they were young because I wanted them an avenue to talk. We made sure we spoke to our friends around us as well and said we want a place for our boys to be able to talk. So we want to make sure that relationship is there. So they always knew they had someone to talk to. But it's hard. It's actually really hard. And Jacob's trying to process a lot of grief, still trying to process a lot of grief, and that's a really hard one. The grief is really hard. And it's just a case of feeling what he's feeling. It's made him wake up and go, I just want to live my life. So he's overseas at the moment, living it. I think, where was he? I don't know, I spoke to him the other day. He was somewhere. He went running with the bulls, was all I know. I was like, please survive. But yeah, he's now sort of had taken a very different outlook on life.
Yeah.
Whereas it was work, do this, and take for granted that your mates are always going to be there. So he's very passionate about building relationships now. And after Elias's death, he actually pulled his brothers aside and said, stop being such an idiot, because I can't lose either of you two.
Yeah.
And now where Max struggles, and previously he's sort of turned around and said, you need to get shit together, he now says, what can I do to help? So it's changed his perspective on how and the relationships he has with others. So, and knowing that they say, right, we all grow up in the same house, but brother and sister didn't have the same experience, and no one grows up in the same house experiencing the same thing. You have it from different perspectives, and sort of trying to get them to understand that you may have grown up in the same house together, but you experienced it differently. I said, and Max grew up in turmoil. So Max, I remember having that openness to chat and saying to Max, and there were some things that happened with Josh when he was little. I said, these are something that's happened I'm aware of, I'm not proud of. Would you like to talk about it? So we actually went to counselling to talk about how it impacted him. And Max has come out more recently and said, this is what impacted me. And I'm like, fuck. So instead of getting defensive about it, and instead of going, I'm a bad mum and all of those things, I've actually allowed him the space to talk about the things that impacted him, particularly through a divorce. And it impacted me by this. And I'm just like, I'm really sorry that's happened to you. And that validation for him of I've been heard has been massive. So not sitting back and getting defensive, but this was going on and this was happening, actually saying to him, okay,
What's up?
I'm sorry. And sorry doesn't come with any more than I'm sorry. Doesn't need any other explanation, and saying I'm really sorry. Is there anything else that's impacted you that we want to work through? And he's actually come back and we've worked through some bits and pieces where, so that communication piece is so important. Knowing kids can talk to you is so important. Allowing them to make mistakes, allowing them to, my mum used to scream at me if I dropped a glass or a plate. Like,
Same.
oh my God, it was like,
Yeah.
shit, you drop a plate, it's just a plate.
Yeah.
It's okay. Oh, whew. Trying to take some of those things, and knowing there's a good book actually by my counsellor, Nick Bowditch. It's called Actually It Is All About Me. And what it talks about is that every generation will have to go and reparent themselves. And just as a parent, understand that you're doing the best with what you have. And kids will not like it. They'll be traumatised by certain things. And most of it's out of your hands. So you can only do the best with what you have, and they are not going to like it sometimes. So sometimes now when they come out with things and I think, fuck, I feel really bad about that, it's okay because you only know what you know. And when I sold Guy, actually, because I travelled every 5 weeks for 17 years, not one complaint from any child that I did that. Max travelled with me he was in a sling with me for 12 months. Jacob I had an office with a nursery set up. And when I sold Gaia and I did my last expo, Max said to me, he would have been 13-ish, you don't have to travel anymore. He's never complained, ever, that you don't have to travel anymore. And I'm like, shit, I don't even realise that was a problem for him. So they don't actually articulate shit in some ways. And they say with children, they speak to you in different ways. So their language is chucking things across the room or having those things. So, we try to control their behaviour so much, but allowing them to feel their behaviour and allowing them to make mistakes so they learn from those mistakes. And I said to Max, I remember moving out and then actually parenting the way I wanted to parent. I changed the way I parented because I wasn't parenting how I wanted to. And instead of telling him about things, I'd say to him, you need to make that decision. I'm happy to help you work through it, but I'm not going to tell you what to do. And there's several things now he goes, oh, damn, that cost me a lot of money or whatever else. But he wouldn't know that unless he actually walked through it. So I think we try to prevent them from making mistakes or having the brain capacity to figure out how to climb a wall or do all those things. We take that away from them. And you look at the stats on kids breaking bones, tearing ligaments now really young because they're not climbing trees. They're not navigating is that branch safe?
Yeah.
How do I stretch from here to here? I fell off. Okay, that didn't work. And getting up and doing it again.
Kids
the
have
resilience.
no awareness of their surroundings.
No.
Yeah.
So those sorts of things now, I sit back and I listen doesn't matter whether I like what they say. And there's some things I've been like, holy shit, don't react, don't react, don't react, don't react. But enough that I know that when there's something serious comes up, they'll call me. And he had a car accident. It was a life-changing car accident for Max. He went down, it was learners, no one in the car with him. He had a drink during the day, came around a bend, or in Dandenongs, and down a ditch.
Yeah.
And there was a tree, went straight into this tree. If the tree wasn't there, he would have rolled and rolled and rolled. Right? His life flashed before his eyes. Really changed where he was at. And I had said to him previously, don't take the car out without anyone in it. And he's like, oh, I'm just going up the street. I go, Max, instead of continually going mad at him for that or taking his keys away, I said to him, there are consequences to you taking the car out with no one in it. If you get caught, you need to manage those consequences. If this happens, you need to manage. I want you to understand what they are and think it through. If you make the decision, you make the decision, but you have to follow through on the consequences. So, and then they had this accident and he's like, and I'm like, why didn't you stop me? I said, I'm not, well, I never say I told you to them either. Never do I say to them, I told you so. How shit is it when someone says, I told you so, and you've made an error? They're never going to tell you again. So I'm just like, okay, these are the reasons why I've asked you not to do this. You know, what are you going to learn from this now? What's going to happen? And allow them to make those mistakes.
Yeah, now you have to drop off at work.
Every day. No.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But I've made him buy his own car again because he didn't have insurance. So he had third-party insurance. He's got a breatho on there now. Do you know how much they cost?
Yeah, they're not cheap.
So he's had to pay for that. And when he sort of said, I just need some money, and I was giving him money, you know, randomly, and he was spending it on shit. And I said, I'm not giving you money anymore. And he's like, well, but I need to. I go, you need to learn to budget. You're living outside your means, and the only way you're going to learn that is if I don't give it to you. So now he's starting to budget. Now he's starting to move through those things. Now he's starting to. I really believe in allowing them to explore the world around them to be able to work out we shouldn't do that. No. Or we should, or because kids don't climb trees anymore. They don't do monkey bars. They don't interact in a park to learn how to communicate, and like it's.
Yeah, they don't interact with the world around them.
No.
And then you wonder why they don't know how to hold a conversation. Like
and there's anxiousness, and there's people that are introvert because they can't go out into a crowd and talk.
Yeah.
So I think but grief is a hard one. Grief is just to be felt.
Yeah.
And grief is not. It's not time bound.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a thing called vicarious grief which I'm experiencing with my dad who has dementia. He's not the person that I know he was. So my dad is essentially not there, but he's right in front of me. So sort of working through that and feeling the effects of grief, and grief's a hard one.
Yeah.
But they learn they're not invincible when that happens.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing for a 19-year-old, 18-year-old that feel like they're invincible. Elias was 22 when he died. They all feel like they're invincible, but they're not.
Grief
is a hard one.
Yeah, grief
Grief's
is hard.
They say it's the hardest feeling to process.
Because you spend your whole life trying to survive. Every decision your brain makes is to keep you alive.
Yeah.
And then you realise that your life is finite by experiencing grief.
Yeah.
And that's your brain going, oh, that could happen to me. And that's why I feel like grief is so hard, because the degree of separation, the closer it is, the worse it feels, because it's more real for you as well.
I went into shock when Elias died. I remember he was in my house. He came over every day. So, and I remember I couldn't speak after we found out because he was in my house that afternoon. And I came home and the boys were running around the yard and I'm like, what's going on? Something's going on here. What are they all doing? And then Jacob said, he made me a rose, which he did out of metal, and he soldered it all too. It was beautiful. He goes, I need to take this. And I'm like, no. And he goes, I need to take this. I need you to trust me. Okay. No worries. We built that closeness that when he says that to me, I know there's a reason behind it. And he was taking it down to Elias's site where Elias was killed. And then he came home and said, my brother's gone. And I'm like, what? What the fuck? One of my kids is... But then he said it was Elias. I'm like, no, Elias was just out the side. So that brain being able to compute, and he was just with him. So that brain being able to compute, I just saw you and you're no longer here, is so hard to comprehend. And then, you know, people fade. They just fade. And it takes...
It doesn't feel real.
Doesn't feel real. And it's really woken up the guys. They've really, and it makes you question. He's questioned friendships, he's questioned family, he's questioned everything. It is a big emotion to process.
Yeah.
And there's no real answer to it, I don't think, except to feel it. You numb it, spiral starts.
Yeah. The feeling of things huge, because it's funny you mentioned that. Last night I was at a friend's house. I was just dropping off a Men Over Matter hoodie, actually, with it's got your logo on the back. Looks really nice. But he had his mum over, and it was his mum and his fiance, and we're just he's like, "You want to come in?" I was like, "Yeah, cool, we'll have a chat." And she was a single mum all his life, and they had a really close relationship as well. And she said the best thing we ever had was open relationship. He could tell me anything. She's like, too much. You know, every time he did something wrong, he would tell her because he felt bad, so he was always honest. And I was like, that's funny, because I couldn't lie to my parents, but mine was out of fear.
Yes.
Out of the repercussions, but his was out of just closeness of their relationship, and he felt guilt. But she said the only thing that she didn't do, or she wished she would change, was show him emotions, because she went through breast cancer and she bottled it all up. So she didn't show him that it was safe to show emotions, express emotions. And so a thing that I'm recognizing is that boys that grow up with mums, safe mums that they can have conversations with, that stuff's really important. And because they grow up with mums and or grow up with a mum that shows emotion, that shows that it's safe to show emotion, that's where you can build really good relationships and good young men that feel safe to do the same. Where guys that grow up with dads that don't show emotion, that's not okay, makes it really hard. And that's why we have a lot of men struggling with relationships, with mental health, with being fathers, that they don't know how to tell someone else it's safe to show emotion because they've never been taught.
Never been taught. Yeah. And it's interesting. My boys have come to me with some fairly interesting things over the course of time. And one incident in particular, I didn't bat an eyelid, and it was with Max, and Max just hugged me and said, "Thank you for being a calm space." And to get that, and to get a thank you for moving out, the kids thanked me. "Thank you for providing us with a calm space." I was in tears for weeks over that comment, because that's when you realise, oh, Jesus, we haven't done this for years because we're protecting the kids. You're not protecting the kids. And like, so I 100% agree with that. And when my counsellor had said, take the kids on the journey, tell them your side of the story, and let them know that it's okay to have all perspectives. So, you know, I'm one that believes that I'm not trying to change their perspective on what they see. So that's really important for them to be able to then correlate the different perspectives from people and then be able to make their own decisions on what they see. Whereas if you've got someone telling them, no, that's wrong, you need to look at it like this, they learn then to tell other people and judge other people on that as well. And you know, Jack came to me one day with something, and I just said, I don't need you to change my perspective on this, and I don't need you to change Dad's perspective on this. I'm just telling you my side so you understand why I'm doing what I'm doing and why I'm making the decisions I make. You don't have to decide what one's right or wrong. They can both be right. So, and I think them having that makes them more open to what people are experiencing or going through, or having compassion for people and not judging them, because there's lots of different views and not all of them are wrong. Yeah,
well, people make decisions based off their perspective, their experience of
where they're at, their level, their what they can bring. Yeah.
That's not wrong. Maybe looking back after they make the decision, go, oh, I would do it differently. But at the time, they're doing what they think is right based off the knowledge they have.
And that's what I say to them. It's okay that you did what you did.
Yeah.
Because you can only do with what you know. So, but that's okay. Going forward, what would you do differently?
Yeah. Now that you have that insight, hindsight's always 20/20.
Oh, I know, right?
Unless you're, a narcissist or something, and then you go, oh, well, I'm still right. Is that well?
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's it's an interesting one, and that's why I feel like I've got mates that haven't had dads around. I'm like, look, not always the worst thing, but I do think it's important to have both. And sort of not super relative, but relative. What do you find the importance of having platonic relationships with the opposite sex?
Now, this is a really interesting one for me, because I have always had platonic friendships. And when I got married, I was not allowed to have platonic friendships. And the interesting thing for me now is when you look at intuition combined into this, I had the intuition that something wasn't right for quite some time, but it never said you can't do this or that. And Simon always said to me, men and women can't be friends. And I'm like, yes, they can. And he's like, no, they can't. And I'm like, yes, they can. And some boundaries get crossed. You know, sometimes there might be underlying things for a person and sometimes there's not. But I think platonic friendships are really important because they show balance as well. And they show things that you may not see in a partner or nor listen to in a partner. So, and just because I sit here and put my hand on your leg doesn't mean it's a sexual thing. And that sexual connotation has been taken to such a length that, you know, I think platonic friendships are really important. We need the men. You need the women to understand outside of your circle of relationship or your partner or whatever else to see perspectives. And I feel like I need male friends. I find that, yeah, I need that in my life.
Yeah.
I think it's something that people, if they are threatened by that, is their own insecurities or their own
Past experiences
or what they are doing themselves and have nothing to do with the person. So, yeah.
Yeah, so people who say men and women can't be friends only have the experience of
that was
not being able to have friends with the opposite sex.
Well, that was proven.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
So that was constantly drilled into me, and I wasn't allowed to be. Every time I had a male friend, I had lots of male friends. My first job was in a construction site, so men everywhere. Karate's men everywhere. So I have lots of males in my life, which was, you know, I remember,
Do you think
okay by his standards?
Based off where you've come from in life, were you at first? Did you not have healthy relationships with men? Like, did you hate men, and then you then had positive role models, or were you always?
I've never hated men. For what's taken place. Perpetrators of my sexual abuse was a man. Perpetrators of my emotional abuse was my mother. So it's, I've actually had more of a fear of women than I have of men.
Yep.
So, no, I don't think so. And because I've had, my best friend growing up was a male. And then I've always had a male best friend in some capacity. So they're important to me. It was really nice, like when we all went away for Bree's birthday. And I said to Jade, how nice was it to go away and not be conscious? We were just people in a house. And I've often said to Simon, it's human to human contact for me. It's not human male to female. It's human to human. And he always used to argue the point, I want you to do that. I don't want you to do that. And I'm just like, fuck, I'm not doing anything. And I got accused of having an affair and doing all these things that I wasn't actually doing. So, and that's where you kind of come back to, well, why is that in your mind? Where's that come from? And I've spoken to men actually that have had dads that have had affairs or vice versa, and they've grown up in that are like, that can't happen because that's what they know. So I think, there's some things that may impact that, but I think platonic friendships are really, really important. And hugging your friend or curling up on the couch watching a movie with your friend who's maybe opposite sex or whatever, opposite gender, isn't an issue. But some people find that a problem. So if you're partnered, do you want that to happen, I guess is the question.
Yeah.
How comfortable are you with that?
I've had the conversation with, like, we had the conversation with a few of us on the weekend, and I was like, well, I think it does depend on where you're at in a relationship or if you have one, because I feel like there's some things that, like, you can do it as friends, but if you've got a partner, I feel like that's for you and your partner.
There's a difference between what is intimate and what is a cuddle puddle.
Yeah, because it's like, that's serving a need at a time. You just want to be held. Like, you know, like we did a massage and it was you and Jade, and I'm just like, it was just nice. Just feels good to be held, and it's nurturing. So there's a line. People have needs, and so, you know, friends can meet certain needs without it having to mean anything else.
I think that's a values discussion as well with a partner. So if you understand your values, and when I met Cam, I had a male friend And I'd said, I just want you to understand that this person's my friend. That's it. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. And Damien started calling me his Mishy. And I used to hate it. Like, stop calling me that. I'm not your Mishy, right? And Cam said to me one day, I'm actually uncomfortable with him saying that. But he never said to me, you can't do it. He said, so, I'm just letting you know I'm uncomfortable about it. We actually have a beautiful connection and beautiful communication. I'm like, okay. And then I got to a point where I'm like, I'm uncomfortable about it.
Yeah, it's
So
possessive.
that's when that's a whole nother story. But that's when you start to understand, well, where's that line for both of us? And it might be different for different people. And traveling with expos, I traveled for years with a friend, Michael, who was my best friend for years and years and years, because we traveled together. We just had the same values.
Yeah.
And I think that comes down to, as well as thinking that your partner can meet all your needs. And your partner can't meet all your needs a lot of the time. So
yeah, it'd be setting unrealistic expectations for one person.
So, where does that sit as well? But I really, and I think that's because of being around unhealthy women, toxic women, that I really need masculine energy around me. So I'm very much, for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, when someone's really having a crack at you, I guess the question is why?
Yeah.
What's the underlying everything associated with it?
Yeah. I think it's very healthy to have platonic friendships because online it's so divisive. Masculine, feminine, women are unsafe, guys don't feel safe. Approaching women, and for us to be able to sit and have a conversation going, you can, any sort of interaction, but you can speak about your experience and where you're coming from, where, like, this is the whole point of the Men Over Matter event for men and women, is to provide a space for that conversation to be safely held, where women go, I feel uncomfortable going for a run in the dark because I'm a woman, I'm smaller, men can do whatever they want, and based off previous experience or friends' experience or whatever, I feel unsafe. And I can go, oh, okay, I would never have heard that if I just kept to my group of friends.
Yeah.
And women can now hear about, I feel not heard when I'm a man, and I have issues. I don't feel like I can talk about it because then I feel weak. And as a single man, I need to be strong to attract a woman who, I want to make a woman feel safe. But if I'm being vulnerable, they might not feel safe, or, I don't have a space to, or I'm a dad and I've got a mortgage and I've got kids and I've got a wife that I need to protect, but sometimes I need to be held. But I can't do that in front of my family because then they see a weak man.
Yeah.
But women won't know that unless they hear that.
And the amount of times I've rang you or I've rang Leighton and said, I need your opinion. I need a man, unbiased, unjudgmental opinion that will actually tell me, not from your experience and sometimes from your experience, but also from a thought process as a man.
Yeah, we think differently.
We think really differently.
Yeah. Am I being irrational? I need a man to tell me.
Is this something I should worry about?
Yeah.
It's like, well, no. Oh, okay, it's interesting.
Yeah.
And then you ask someone else, and that's when you realise that some of the opinions, when the opinions come out, not well, this is the way I see the perspective, is when you start to realise that person's got things they need to deal with.
Yeah.
And they're being projected back on you.
Yep.
Not necessarily.
I had an issue with the wording for the event because it's inclusive, but wanting to be politically correct. And then I asked for a female's perspective on what I should say to make it not upset certain people. And she said, oh, yeah, maybe say it this way. And then today with Matt and Leighton, guys from Men Over Matter, they're like, no, it blurs lines. We need to be clear. Say it this way. And I was like, cool. I asked a person for their opinion, and it was like two, woman's perspective, emotion, but men were like, no, we need to be clear and be rational men and direct and say, this is who it's for. Say it for them, because otherwise they won't know. It's not clear. You won't get the message across clearly if you don't say it as it is.
And sometimes I feel we need to not worry so much about offending people.
Yeah.
And saying, like, there was something that came up the other day of this is a men's only event, and women were arcing up. And I'm like, why is this a problem?
Yeah.
Why can't we say this is a man only event, this is a women only event, this is this only event? Why not?
Yeah. Exactly right. And it's like,
you're getting people together based on values or based on things that are important to them. I don't understand why this is a problem anymore.
Yeah, because like that topic I was just talking about, the men's things men deal with, women deal with. That's what we want to discuss, and that's who it's for. It's open for absolutely everyone, but other people have things that they resonate with more, and they'll go to events for that way.
Correct.
And it's
okay if you don't like it.
yeah, it's cool. It's just then don't come. It's not you're not allowed, but it's like if you don't feel like you relate, you don't relate.
You don't have to get online and or go mad at it because it's not included you that you weren't going to be in anyway.
So
no, platonic is important to me. Always has been. I've always had male friends, and I grew up with my brother. I was the only girl, so cousins were all boys. I grew up in a house where his friends were always around, so I always had boys around me too. And my brother made it very clear that none of them were allowed to come near me. But I know I could ring them, and they'd be there as well. They would bail me out of anything I needed bailing out of. I just think it's important to human. I look at it as like I want to speak human to human, or if I want a male's opinion because I'm looking at it a certain way, then I can ask that openly without someone feeling. It's interesting.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in the minority of men where like a lot of the time I catch up with women more often than men one-on-one, which I wonder how that affects dating for me. Because I'm like, I've had women go, like, do I have anything to worry about with her? I'm like,
I've had so much trouble.
Yeah, I'm like, nah, we're just mates. Like, I know you're newer on the scene than this person I've been friends with for ages, and I can understand where you're coming from because your past experience with men would lead you to believe otherwise. But no, I don't have the time or space to be emotionally involved with a woman in general.
Living with a female.
Yeah, I don't know. I live with a
impact?
woman. I've lived with, at one point in time, it was me and 3 women.
How does that impact? Like, is that something that's come up as a problem in dating?
Yeah, I've had, and the same person was like, do I have anything to worry about her? And I was like, no, dude, trust me, no.
But are you going to tell them anyway? If someone's asking you that question.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah, there's a trust thing, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's, I would say no. What makes you think that you need to think that way? And that's what past issues have you had? What's your past? And it's trust. Have I led you to believe otherwise? Your past experience trauma probably does. And that's where me as a modern masculine man sitting like that. If it's a modern masculine man, I'm trying to create a safe space for women to go, no, I can just trust this guy. He's genuine, authentic. Yeah. And I love being able to have more than surface level conversation. Just happens to be with women more often than men. And men, I do catch up with blokes as well. Like mates, I did it bloody this morning, but guys are busier. We're doing stuff. So
more in their
it's
brains. So it's proven that men sort of focus on usually one thing at a time, whereas women have multiple things going on. So you would probably get more conversation about multiple different things from a woman than you would from a man.
Yeah, and like in the entrepreneurial space, I just know more women doing stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Like today I messaged a friend Georgie. I'm like, hey, can you co-facilitate this event? We need women. She called me. She's like, yep, I'm keen. I'm doing this, this, and this. Like, let's do it. Barty's the same. Taylor's, I got a few, all the other girls were, friends were the same. Where guys are like, I've got my job, saving to buy a house. I'm looking after my family. I'm going towards this one goal. I've got to do this. And it's like, all right. Like I realize that, and Leighton's the same. He's a creative. So we're off doing other stuff. We're not.
Yeah. That's it.
So
yeah.
Comes with the territory.
Perspective. I know when we have group conversations, they're pretty deep. And I learn a lot from those. I'm like, I didn't look at it that way. I didn't see it from that perspective. I really do learn a lot from the male conversations.
Yeah.
Compared to what I know. And then I learn a lot from my female conversations as well, but I do learn a lot from the male conversations that sometimes I'm like, yeah, right, okay, that's really different to what I thought, or
Yeah, definitely have the same. And that's why I really want to create a space with the event in 2 weeks' time for that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we can tell you all about it. Yeah, it should be good. It should be good. But yeah.
And I'm flying out at 12 o'clock or something, so there's not even a chance.
Yeah, not possible. But yeah, hopefully people come along. Hopefully people enjoy it. And hopefully people have really enjoyed this conversation. It's been gone for a while. can't believe my camera died. It was on 100%. So I don't know if it's due to the quality, it runs faster. I don't know, but my phone's picked up the rest, so it's all good. But yeah, Michelle, thank you so much for the conversation. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the insight, the vulnerability, for being willing to jump from here, over here, down to here, to land where we are now. It's been great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. And thanks for my space. Yeah. Is there anything you want to plug while we've got some eyes and ears?
Yeah, I'm a business and life strategist. So people that want it to change, not airy fairy fluff. It's kind of like you want to get from here and you want to get to here. I work with people one-on-one, and I have now Kahuna massage, and I'm
based in Belgrave as well for people that don't know where we are. Yeah.
I'm about to start working into mindfulness workshops. So using art as the medium to groups. So I'm working on that.
Yeah.
Soul Body on soulbody.belgrave, I think. I can't remember now. on Instagram. Soulbody.mindfulness.belgrave. I think.
I'll drop some links in Spotify and YouTube, and you can find it. If not, follow Michelle on Instagram. She'll be tagged as well, and you'll be able to find out more. Take the pieces you love and the stuff you don't.
Leave the rest you don't.
Keep it. Yeah.
And whatever.
Yeah.
And be kind to yourselves, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Be kind to yourselves. Eat good food. Look after your body.
Yep.
Yeah. Any other things you want to leave with people before then? No. Awesome. I think they've got plenty. I think if you stuck around to the end, I hope you were taking notes.
That's a long one, hey?
Yeah. Yeah. I hope you did need to hear this. Thanks.
Yeah.